It's a weird thing to see yourself dance on the camera. I'm having my own Spaceballs moment. Welcome, everybody, to Geek News tonight. We're just getting started right now, and welcome to the new time slot. So from here on, we're going to be doing Geek News on Fridays, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time till 10 at most. It just depends. If we have a short news week, then it's a shorter podcast. But you guys get to join in on the fun as we go along. And of course, welcome to the live chat. We're going to have some fun discussing some interesting topics, both old and new, because some of them were from last week that people wanted us to talk about, and some of them are for this week. So it's going to be kind of divided, because unfortunately we weren't here last week, and I think we had, three members sick, and then one needed the night off. So there's no way that was going to happen. And welcome to the Shadow Blazer.
Welcome.
Welcome yourself.
I do welcome myself.
You do indeed. And I'm not sure how I should take it. I'll take it.
Okay.
So yeah, we've got lots to talk about tonight, including a last-minute story that just barely got brought to my attention. I think the email was dated like 4 hours ago from when we start. So basically, it's a developing story about Steam. So I didn't put that in the Twitter until this most recent tweet, but that's going to be happening as well. And of course, here's hoping that the Shadow Blazer didn't catch what everybody else was having.
No, I've been fine, surprisingly.
Yeah, well, I remember like when I was coming down with something, you said you were having issues too, but you got over it quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So you obviously didn't have the hell virus that I had. So, of course, how are you all doing? I'm just curious, live chat. How are you guys doing? And if you're brand spanking new, we want to see it in the chat. We want to see it, because now that we are at a earlier time and on a weekday, hopefully that'll help out things a little bit. I will tell you this though, Alex. I'm making a strong advertisement to my honey. Let me see if I can dig up the picture because it's great. Here we go. So I'm going to see if I can bring this up. So I saw this on my Facebook feed, and I immediately decided that me and my wife need to have it.
Very nice.
Basically, it's a back-to-back game station. It's pretty awesome, actually. Let me know, guys, if you want to see me get it, because that would be awesome. I just don't know how I would feel about playing PC games in my family room. That would be a little weird for me. I could play World of Warcraft in the comfort of my own living room. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, surely that'd be awesome.
I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not usually the big guy of holding the keyboard in my lap kind of thing. It may or may not. Of course, we got a couple other people coming later on, hopefully before the podcast starts, but we're starting up fairly early. And of course, if you're brand spanking new live chat, I want to be able to hear that you are brand spanking new, but also give us your opinions on the stories that we talk about tonight, because we've got lots to go over. And one I'm going to start the chat on is your favorite Super Bowl ad, because, well, I don't watch it and therefore didn't know what happened until the following day. It's like, oh, the Super Bowl happened. Okay. And then I got spammed by a bunch of people wanting to know my thoughts on a specific trailer. Hashtag gag myself with a spoon. But you're going to get your thoughts because, well, confession time, I still haven't seen all of the Super Bowl ads or trailers.
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched any.
Yeah,
I really don't get this bizarre allure and appeal of Super Bowl ads. They're really not that much different from every other
a
ordinary day
couple
ads.
a couple of
Some might
years
have a bit
ago,
more
I would
pizzazz.
have. A couple of years ago, I would do it. Like I'd go watch the Super Bowl trailers because I was interested in like the Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy. But since then, I've just lost my taste for it. So at that point, I just don't watch any of the ads. If I catch them somewhere, then awesome. But unfortunately, I always catch the ones that I'm just not interested in. So like all of the ones that are supposed to be quote controversial when they come out, like I'm trying to remember what was it 2 years ago, the babies one about them talking about their stock portfolios. I was like, duh. It's like the Coke baby trying to tell me that he has great options in his offshore bank account. I don't care. It's an ugly looking CG baby. Yeah, I'm a dad. I can say that's an ugly looking CGI baby. Do you want to know another one that's really ugly looking? The Mountain Dew one that shows up every now and again. I can't even remember what it's about. Like it's supposed to be advertising some Mountain Dew product, and eventually it's supposed to infuse the power of dance to whomever drinks it. And one time they had a gross looking CGI baby.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yes. Romney, your record has not been besmirched tonight.
Yeah.
You walked into ugly looking CGI baby.
I came in on imbued the power of dance.
Okay. Well, we have hereby imbued you with the power of dance. So now you must use this, Romney.
Yeah. 7 years too late, unfortunately.
You must go and spread the word of dance to every portion of the globe.
I'll just need to pull out my mixtape of Jamiroquai songs.
So again, how are you all doing, live chat? We are looking forward to starting at a brand new time slot. It's a little weird now, but we'll make it through. Now, here's the quick thing for my fellow hosts. I'm about to do something that I don't usually do, but the situation now demands. I'm about to appoint one of you the co-host. And the reason I am is because we're actually doing this on a work night for my wife, and I just barely put my baby to bed. So just in case I have to rush out the door and go make a bottle, one of these schmooks right over here are going to take over. So any volunteers?
I'll do it.
All right, cool. So at that point, if I immediately rush off camera, you know why, and you're about to get a special guest.
Sounds good.
She's going to drink her bottle in here. Don't get used to her. She ain't staying long. I will then banish her to the bed beast.
The bed beast?
Or to the bedlands. Get it? The badlands? Ah.
Lol.
Yeah.
Lol. It's 8 o'clock, people. You expect me to make good jokes?
Yeah. I'd make a little Nemo joke, but I can't think of anything I could use. It's been so long since I've seen that movie. Oh, and right on cue, as soon as I start talking, my cat starts freaking out.
So it sounds to me like you need a co-host.
Not quite. At least my cat is not, all I literally have to do is just let her outside so she can use their litter box and eat.
Yeah,
that's it. Because most of the time she just comes in here and either perches on my window back there to stare at the cats in the backyard, or just sleeps. Oddly enough, only when my bed is messy. When it's made, she won't go on it. If it's messy, she'll curl up.
I really shouldn't have this on my desk when I'm about to record.
It could be worse.
I don't want to be a walking pile of paranoia.
Oh, come on. You sounded like you enjoyed it in your video.
I may have had some enjoyment then. I don't now.
Well, it could be worse. It could be another bottle of Crystal Pepsi.
Oh, I can already feel it attacking my throat right now.
See, now that someone needs to make a Resident Evil 7 mod that somehow works in Crystal Pepsi.
Oh my gosh!
Instead of blood, they bleed Crystal Pepsi.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know, I was gonna do a Brenton tries that specific soda, but I just could never find the time at the end of last year, so I just never did it.
Yeah. There are a few stores here and there that still sell it, at least near where I live.
You know, just because I
No,
missed
our
the
Walmart does too.
opportunity doesn't mean I'm still wanting to do it.
No, the one thing that threw me off was our Walmart started offering a drink I haven't seen in probably like 5 or 6 years called Cactus Cooler. It's like, holy crap. I remember when people used to not drink this in my household and then said they did.
Interesting. Very interesting.
My little brother would demand that my dad get it, and then he'd drink one can and he never touched the stuff ever again.
Yes, I know the feeling. The commercials make it look so good, then once you taste it, you realize the mistake you have made.
Well, I mean, like my dad tried it a couple of times. It was orange pineapple, so he was going to try it. But I mean, it's just like, well, but you keep on asking for the stuff, and then you don't drink the rest of the thing. Well, it's lost its fizz. That's why it doesn't taste very good. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
I did that with a lot of products. Sodas, candy, even just certain groceries. Even fast food sometimes. Like, oh, the fries are cold. They're no good.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
talking to the one guy who could eat the cold fries and be okay with it.
Yep.
I do eat the cold fries.
Yep. I eat the cold fries now, mainly just because I found better restaurants where the fries still taste good cold.
Yeah. Exactly. You just find a place that works better.
Yep.
Oh. And unfortunately, guys, I still have this cough, so I might mute myself a couple of times just to make sure that I don't rip everybody's ears a new one.
Yeah, gotta love that dry Utah air.
Yay!
It's virus mixed in with tick, so it's just not fun.
Yeah, in my case, the stuff I was feeling last week was brought on by the inversion and the dry air. That's why I had to get this thing.
Yeah.
It's a humidifier that you hook a water bottle to.
That's pretty nifty.
Yep, got it for $30 at Bed Bath & Beyond.
You can get a lot of cool stuff at Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yep.
I'm just sitting here drinking my Coke and enjoying what you guys have to say.
That's not creepy.
Yeah, I'm sitting here drinking Pepsi out of my camera lens mug.
I love that mug, actually. It's finally had a return.
You like brought it up and you didn't say mug right away, and I was like, "What are you doing? Why?
No,
Yeah,
Why are you ruining that
Brenton,
camera lens?"
when he first brought it in, he didn't tell us what it was, and so like me and Aldo both kind of looked at each other and went. Now I know he values his camera. Is this the camera that got sent out to pasture because it just screwed up too many times?
Yeah, and I even tried doing a bit of a fake out on one of my year-end vlogs as well, where I just made it look like I was adjusting, and then I made it look like I snapped off the lens hood and then drank out of it. But
Oh
yeah,
my gosh!
yeah, it was a Christmas gift from my younger brother, and he made me think he got an actual camera lens. Like he was like insidious, where he like put something heavy in it, and I was like unwrapping it, and then I saw, holy crap, did he buy like a $300 lens? And then I popped the top, and I was just like, oh. Yeah, he literally filled it with candy, like leftover Halloween candy, but literally unwrapped it. I'm just like, holy crap, he spent too much money on this. Oh.
Oh. Well, it looks like the joke's on you.
Yeah.
Bad.
It was kind of funny because basically there's a weird tradition in my house with Christmas where I like to put hints that are kind of like riddles that people can solve to figure out what I got them. And it usually only makes sense once they unwrap it. My younger brother just tries to basically put in different hints that, honestly, I don't know the logic he uses. It's kind of more like there's like a challenge to trying to find where the gift is. Sometimes he hides it. Sometimes he puts like weird things that make you think it's something else when it isn't.
Okay.
It makes for an interesting time.
I buy a gift for myself, and I put it under the tree wrapped that says "To Brenton from Brenton." It brings very entertaining reactions. The first year I did it,
especially if you two-person it. So it's just like, oh, Brinton, you shouldn't have. I know, Brinton.
No, that's the thing. That's what I did, and my entire family was just like, "What the heck are you doing?" And I'm like, I legitimately bought myself something, and I like unwrapped it, and I was all surprised. I was like, I shouldn't have.
Now, this year I got to do something very unique because I've done that too, where I bought presents for myself just because I needed a mic or whatever. And this year I actually decided to do something completely different. I made my present to myself to Daddy from Adam. And I'm going to keep this tradition. Because at this point, I mean, if you think about it, my daughter knows me as Daddy. My wife knows me as Adam. So there you go. At least two people in that room are going to think that they're different people. Logic. All right. Warped logic, but logic. And welcome, Aldo.
Are we live already?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the pre-show thing he likes to do.
I do the pre-show stuff just because why not?
Oh.
People like it.
Okay.
Hi, sorry, Aldo.
I don't believe in pre-shows. Those are called shows that start early.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Well, the show must go on.
That's just me being a bit of a nitpicky dick.
It's okay.
Nitpicky dick. That's going to be the name of my next hit single.
Nitpicky Dicky?
Nitpicky. That might just be the chorus.
Yeah.
If you put in there something about a patriotic boner, you've got a deal.
No.
My penis will not be sung about. I refuse.
I mean, maybe, but not in public. Like,
Britain, you have made the challenge. We'll see if we can get Nathan to do something about that.
Oh gosh, I can just see this music video, and pretty much it's just me sitting there, and I'm just like, I'm not amused right now.
No, occasionally you're playing the games, and then.
Well, if you all go to watch my Super Mario Galaxy 2 Let's Play, I accidentally threw in a bunch of sexual innuendos, and I got to the point where I was like, shit, I'm not saying this. I can't.
Can it be half as bad as you and me on Devil May Cry talking about our sex drives? Yeah, people, that happened, and you're going to get to see it in the next little bit.
Oh my gosh, I got to this point where I was like,
again,
screw
my
it.
defense, I'm blaming Brinton for the start of that conversation.
I got to this point where I was like, oh, screw it. And I just kept talking.
Yeah. That's all right. We made it work. Okay, so we're getting pretty close to start time. Well, maybe we'll wait a couple of minutes and let people's recording software get all started up and all that fun stuff.
Started.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Aldo. We've already started.
I started recording now.
Sound speed.
My apologies. We already started.
I don't care.
Okay.
That's just why I always come in like a minute before we start.
No, I understand. I got one person that suggested that I should do it, and that way I could talk to the live chat. And I'm like, I don't mind talking to the live chat. Sure, why not? All right.
Because, I mean, it's so active right now.
Well, I think part of that is just because people are used to the other times. The other time they're going to be sitting there at Saturday at 10 o'clock and going, well, where's the podcast? Oh, wait, it's right there.
It's already been done.
I'm sorry, but you missed out. Alex, are you good to go?
Good.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
Right on cue, Aldo. Right on cue.
Should we do that one more time?
I had the other video running. Anyways.
Let's just do it one more time.
3, 2, 1. There we go.
It's just that I said that because like every time Aldo's always 1 second behind.
Welcome everybody to the Clapping Podcast, where all we do is clap. Exactly.
Welcome to The Clap. Remember to take your daily pills.
We're just a couple of sassy senoritas.
Apparently so. It's Friday night. We have every right to be. Okay, here we go. Welcome, everybody, to this newest edition of Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions, the show where we talk the week's events in geek. I'm your host, Adam Mickelson, and welcome to this podcast on Friday night, February 10th, 2017. We're starting on a brand new day, brand new time, and a brand new year. That's already a month in, but that may work. How is everybody doing this evening? I hope you all have been having a good weekend thus far. And of course, I'm being joined by my fellow panel of fellow YouTubers, fellow geeks, fellow awesome people in general. And we're going to go ahead and start from here with Stephen Romney of Romney's Reviews from the Shelf, Studio Ghost, Utah. Romney, how you doing this evening?
Well, doing a lot better compared to last week, since last week I was visited by the deadly inversion fairy who was out to make my lungs miserable. But doing a lot better. Been putting some work in on the next episode of From the Shelf, and I'm also excited because they finally released the first half of Dino Charge.
Oh,
Yay.
I thought it was all out.
No,
I may be thinking of Netflix, but I don't know.
Yeah, they've released the first half of Dino Charge, and then they're going to release Super Dino Charge when they basically feel like it, because Nickelodeon and their whole thing.
It's weird on Netflix because, like, for the longest time they had Dino Supercharge, but it was like the first 8 episodes, and they wouldn't update it as they went along. And I think they're updating it like next week with the rest, even though Ninja Steel has just barely started. So it's weird. It's
because of the weird contract Saban has with Nickelodeon, but we'll go into that because it actually relates to a story later on.
Exactly. And then also we are being joined by the Shadow Blazer himself. He comes out of the shadows every Friday night now. It used to be every Saturday night, but now it's every Friday night just for your viewing pleasure. Alex, how are you doing this night?
I guess I'm doing pretty much all right. It's without the podcast.
Is your skin starting to burn yet? Is your skin starting to burn because you come out of the shadows?
No, I'm fine.
No, I've had like 3 years.
I occasionally make this joke like once every 2 years, and occasionally I might get a laugh out of Alex for it.
Anyway, I've had without the podcast, because we've been on hiatus because everybody's been sick, I've just spent it being productive and trying to make videos on a consistent and punctual basis. And so far it's been working out until today. I tried to put up a video today. It got the instant cock block, but we'll just have to see where the disputes go.
What video in particular? Because I have no problem saying it because sometimes YouTube just gets it wrong.
Right. It's one of my soundtrack reviews that I do once a year, and you'll find out when it actually goes live because I don't want to start promoting it if it's going to just get taken down anyway.
All right, everybody, show your support to the Shadow Blazer, and I'll write into YouTube so that YouTube can unilaterally ignore you, and then they'll eventually let this thing go. Because that's the way things usually go with Alex. All right, and then we're also being joined by Brinton Volley of Brinton Volley Gaming. Brinton, how are you doing this fine evening?
I'm here.
That's a very long sigh.
That almost makes me worry because, I mean, he was doing so well when we recorded earlier this week, so...
Oh, I'm just like emotionally done with school and my job, so I'm just kind of like, whatever.
How long have you been in school?
Since like 2009.
No, I mean like this semester.
Oh, like not even 2 months.
Yeah. I was done like after the first week, personally. But, you know, that's just the way it goes. And then also we are being joined by Aldo Gomez of BoardOffline.com. Aldo, how are you doing this fine evening?
I mean, you can punctuate the .com as much as you want, but there's literally a million websites that have it as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm just kidding.
.net.
No. I got rid of that one. No, not of government organization. Anyways,
we can make it look like a government organization if I could speak.
If you could speak.
Yes.
I'm doing okay. Survived not dying. That was really cool. Also, I found out that I was recording my headset, which is muted, and not my actual microphone. So,
yay!
Good luck with that in post.
Yay! Okay, well, we'll see what we can make. We'll see what we can make work. All right, and so here is the panel, and here's the podcast where we talk the week's events in Geek, and we're actually going to be starting things off with a story that just barely got brought to my attention about 4 hours ago, I want to say. And since we've talked about this before, I figure we could probably bring it up. And I'm going to just go ahead and put it in the chat for you guys because it's not in the agenda. And it's basically, so in past episodes, we've had quite a few things to say about a little service called Steam Greenlight. And I would like to say that a majority of it has been positive. I'd like to say that, but most of the time it's been negative. Well, we just barely found out. I'm trying to see the official date for it, but as of at least today, Valve is putting an end to Steam Greenlight, and it will end. They will end the program later this year, and in its place, Valve is introducing a new service called Steam Direct. And Steam Direct is basically going to be a new direct sign-up system for developers that will decrease the noise in the submission pipeline, at least according to them. And one of the ways that they plan on doing that is, unfortunately for the developers, they are going to be asking for a down payment or some kind of a fee to be able to put your game up on Steam Direct. Now, somebody actually reached out, the person that reached out to me going, could you do a double check on the actual fee that's going to be required via Steam Direct? I looked around and I couldn't really find anything. The only one I found was from this IGN article, which is basically basically speculating that it's either going to be as low as $100 that you have to pay to be able to get your game onto the service, or as high as $5,000. Now we're talking US currency. Obviously that'll change internationally, but that's really all I could find on it. But their initial reasoning for trying to do this is obviously to improve the entire pipeline for bringing new content to Steam and connecting customers with the types of content they wanted. I will say that this is an interesting step, maybe something that they should have done before, but the whole payment, I don't know how I feel about that, because that's easy to just say, we're going to make you pay $5,000 and just end the day. I'm not saying Gabe Newell is going to do that right off the bat, but they could. So let's go ahead and get into people's opinions. Aldo, you and me have talked quite a bit about Steam Greenlight. I don't think you and I have had really positive things to say about it because, I mean, here's the thing, some good games come out of Greenlight, but most of it is accessible.
Yeah.
So that's the sad part of it.
I mean, that's kind of the thing, though. Like, I mean, if you look at the difference between like the Apple App Store as opposed to Android's App Store, there's a higher cost of entry into Apple's App Store, and there's a better sense of quality control. So that's why oftentimes in Apple you will see a lot of like better apps. You don't see as many clone apps as you do as like on the Android.
Or spammy apps.
You still see them, but like not nearly in the quantities, right? So I think this is good. I think the vagueness between the cost of entry here is a cause of concern, because I mean, is it going to be based off seniority, size of the company, size of the game, history? Is a company that's constantly putting stuff on Greenlight going to have a lower cost, or are they going to have a higher cost as they try to enter more games in, right? Is it going to be a consistent contract? Like, there's a lot of questions around that, right? So, I mean, potentially with them saying it could be between $100 to $5,000 is kind of it's a way to say, hey, small developers who can't really afford that whole lot, don't worry, we got you. But at the same time, I mean, this all really depends on when we get more details. Because I mean, reading around, I was reading an article on Kotaku about this, and I think it was VentureBeat also had an article on this. There's going to be a little bit more quality control, but only in like the simplest sense, in that somebody at Valve will click at this, make sure there's files in there, make sure it's a game, and then go like, this is good. So I don't know like what their quality control efforts are going to be. Are they going to make sure that it's not broken as hell, that it's not stolen assets, or are they just going to make sure, hey, there's a thing, it has files, and they do stuff?
That's actually my biggest concern. I'm glad you brought it up. Is I don't necessarily need to worry about the fee per se. I'm more worried about the quality control, because one of the reasons the Steam Greenlight is accessible is because, well, it gets overrun with games that are like in early beta that are basically, I hate to tell you this, guys, piles of crap.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is look at pretty much the entire history of Jim Sterling's YouTube channel.
Yeah. No. Like I thoroughly believe that both Total Biscuit and Jim Sterling's career in life right now is to find the crap and to expose it for what it is. That's how Jim Sterling has made his career on YouTube.
And yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? That works. You know, because at that point, people find out very quickly that things like Day One Gary's Incident and what was the zombie game that came out? The one that had the Google. The Google effects one that
I think that one was called like Slaughtering Grounds. I think was
Slaughtering Grounds. The Slaughtering Grounds. And so at that point, it allows for people to know not to go into those. But there's still a bunch of games that unfortunately Jim Sterling just can't get to. And so I'm hoping that through this filtering process, I don't know if the fee is necessarily going to do it, but I'm hoping through this filtering process that we'll get rid of some of the proverbial crap in Steam Direct.
You'd be surprised how much of a deterrent having to pay an entry fee can be.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I was going to say, because suddenly you're going to have a lot of people who are like, well, I could try to make $100 off this bunch of assets I downloaded, or I could just not, or I could just avoid that.
Exactly.
Maybe they break even or not.
Yeah. Brinton, your thoughts on Steam Direct. Is this going too far or not far enough?
I agree with everything that you guys have been saying so far right now. I think it will, I think it will just eliminate games that probably shouldn't be put up and give more opportunities to those who actually put in the time and effort to make a quality game that could potentially make money and help them make even more and like more games and better games in the future. So I think it's a cool program, I guess I want to call it.
Well, it's not in place just yet. It will be in place later this year. But yeah, at least right now on the surface, it looks like a better service than Steam Greenlight has been.
Yeah.
So I'll agree with you there. Alex, I'm going to ask you this honestly. Is this the path that Valve needs to go down, or should they better learn to count to 3 instead?
Well, for now, this will be the path that they should go down, because if they want to be taken seriously for indie development and as a Steam platform for being a launch place for indie developers, then they really need to start weeding out the problems that Steam Greenlight currently has. And we mentioned Jim Sterling. Well, his latest video this week is about a trailer for Clicker Simulator or something like that.
Oh, Jiminy
Clicker
Christmas.
Simulator? What?
Yeah. Yes, Clicker Simulator. The best of Jim Sterling Greenlight trailers. And it's Clicker Simulator. So there you go.
I don't need to purchase a video game to click. I can just I'm doing it right now, and I'm completely content.
See this, everybody? This is Drac clicking.
But Brinton, you're not doing the clicking. You're simulating a person clicking the game.
I don't give a flying shit.
I love that Aldo comes out and justifies it, and then Brinton comes out.
Brinton, you can have all the clicking action without actually having to click anything.
But I'm doing it right now, and I'm thrilled to bits.
You can level up your clicker, and he can click to the best extent of anybody who's ever clicked.
The only thing I'm leveling up is the arthritis in my finger.
What kind of DLC would that come with?
You get the carpal tunnel DLC.
You get the super cancerous tumor in your finger DLC. How is that possible?
What would be the What would be the carpal tunnel DLC? A tube of Bengay gets mailed to your house.
Yeah.
You have to go in
Bengay.
You have to go in for surgery, and then you can choose what kind of cast you want.
Yeah, and maybe it's you get the ergonomic keyboard skin that you can gamble on a website to win other ergonomic keyboard and mouse skins.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? Never mind. I want Clicker Simulator now. If somebody will gift that to me once it hits Steam, I will be more than happy to do a Let's Play. It will be 50 parts long.
50
Alex.
parts long. Wow.
I will 100% Clicker Simulator.
100%.
Alex, what have you done? Romney, your thoughts on Steam Direct as opposed to Steam Greenlight?
Honestly, you guys hit a lot of the main points where it is to try to stem the tide of the shovelware that has kind of polluted Steam as a service. And as for the vagueness of the fee, I kind of get the feeling that Valve may try to kind of have it be negotiable on a case-by-case basis with certain developers. I mean, the factors could be, okay, how much are you planning on selling the game for on our platform? And I'm sure there probably would be some things that they could negotiate, which is probably why they're not committing to a hard number just yet. It even says in the IGN article that they're working with developers to try to find the best fee a developer can pay that will still allow the indie guys to basically come in and actually ply their trade while keeping the leeches out of the boat.
Yeah. Well, here's hoping that this is the solution that Valve needs in order to be able to get the stank of Steam Greenlight off of them, and hopefully Steam Direct is the solution for that. I have a feeling we're going to find out more as the year goes on, as they are able to unveil more details to us. In fact, we might actually get that at the first ever public E3. That already sounds weird to me to say.
I mean, it's always been a little public.
Yeah, but this time they're actually like selling passes. Like it's like Comic-Con where
I know. Like,
yeah.
I mean, for the sake of the audience, continue. But
yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the next story because, well, that's not one of them. So we actually have an update from a couple of weeks ago. This technically happened last week, but as you have heard, basically 3 of us were sick and one of us needed the night off. So the podcast just wasn't happening. But this is an update in regards to the ZeniMax Media versus Oculus trial, in the fact that the jury has since awarded $500 million to ZeniMax Media. So ZeniMax has officially won this trial. The reason is apparently Palmer Luckey didn't comply with a non-disclosure agreement, and so that's how they got $500 million in the pockets. So, I mean, this is sad to me because, well, it bothers me that ZeniMax has had such good luck in trials, especially when it comes to copyrights and whatnot. But hey, they figured out the little discrepancy, and now they're $500 million richer.
I mean, I don't think it's that much of a victory, though, right? I mean, kind of as a whole, because it sent a pretty bad precedent to these sort of law cases.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as I've ever been aware, ZeniMax doesn't necessarily care about the image that comes from it. They're more inclined to, they want their money kind of thing. And from what I've been able to tell, this has gotten fair to bad press for ZeniMax, but ZeniMax has just basically said talk to the hand on the matter. Aldo, your thoughts on the lawsuit?
I mean, it's a little. I guess you could consider it a win for ZeniMax, right? I mean, anytime I get money, I consider that a win.
Yeah.
Even if I just had to choke a man with my bare hands, it's a win.
Let's hope you never have to do that.
But I think part of what's a little scary here is, so there's, I forgot what the phrase is, but there's a term that's used for, basic, basic templates or basic things that are in a genre of video games or in technology, right? So take shooters for example. Like a reticle and a health bar and a radar cannot be copyrighted because they're a staple of the shooter genre, right? Yep. So nobody can copyright those things. So if there's stuff that that has to transfer over from company to company as we expand on VR, there's going to be stuff that can't be copyrighted, that can't be claimed by a single company, because then that's going to do is you're going to have a company that's in control of I don't know, maybe something that assists you with movement options, right? Something that makes the experience a little smoother. So all of a sudden, that's what I'm referring to, those type of things that are going to become standard for VR. If somebody can claim and say nope, this was us, this is our code, this is our thing, that can create problems in that industry. If that makes sense. So with ZeniMax, being able to say nope, this was our code, I think part of the lawsuit was the VR headset didn't have a thing on the top, and now it does when Carmack came over or whatever. I don't remember all the details exactly.
Well, yeah, looking at the details, the big point of contention was that some of the source code used in the Oculus was designed at ZeniMax back when Carmack worked for id Software. It was not so much about the hardware; it was specifically whether or not Oculus had used some of the source code that was designed for the VR stuff that id was working on.
Right.
And that was kind of the main core aspect of this lawsuit, which was why they had to subpoena Carmack and why you had all this stuff talking about how he took emails from a server that was at id Software with him when he left the company and a lot of that other stuff.
Yeah.
Because although the mechanics that you're talking about can't be copyrighted, source code can, because it could be argued that, you can create those same things, you just can't use the exact same code. You basically have to create a different code to create those same sorts of things. And that's where it gets kind of tricky.
Yeah. Especially because if you have the same person writing the code, I mean, they're going to write it similarly. Like, does that make sense? Like I get it, right? Especially somebody that kind of works in development. I understand how that works, but like, I mean, as a concept as a whole, like that's kind of what's scary about ZeniMax setting this precedent here, is that right now this is code and this is like specific code that's
bottom line. It's the precedent that is being set here, because at this point, basically what they're saying is that John Carmack should feel bad about writing John Carmack's engine, and even though he may have written it from scratch, although ZeniMax is making the claim that he didn't. But I'm sorry, I'm not in that boat, because John Carmack lives for making game engines, because for crying out loud, he can go and sell them. So at that point, the precedent that gets set here is like Hideo Kojima creates an entire engine, and then that is completely owned by that particular company, but he goes to another company and uses that exact same engine, and therefore that's liable to get sued, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, the way you just described it, yes, that's actually kind of a bad analogy. Is if you went to another company and used the exact same engine, yes.
Yeah. I mean, that was like
what I was trying to say is like he makes a different engine, but it looks similar to it.
Yeah,
that's a gray area there.
Yeah, that is a gray area, especially if the source code itself is different enough. And that's, again, it gets tricky, because if it does the same thing, but the source code is different, then it's a case of, it looks similar, but it's not the same. The source code is different, since that's the part that can be copyrighted.
Okay. Now, a couple of updates before I go to the next panelist here, and that is that the story that we're reading from Kotaku has a couple of updates to it. First of all, that Oculus has issued a statement basically saying that they intend to appeal, which is probably the best step for them to be able to do so. But they also have another statement from ZeniMax saying they may seek an injunction against Oculus to temporarily halt sales of the Oculus Rift. And that is a bigger problem overall, especially for as much work has gone into the Oculus Rift for it to then basically be taken off the market. Brinton, your thoughts on the ZeniMax lawsuit, or the ZeniMax Oculus lawsuit coming out in ZeniMax's favor?
I haven't really been following this all too much, and just based alone on what you guys were talking about, this just sounds like one really massively big mess, and I don't really know what to think about it, to be honest. The only thing that comes to mind, and I kind of want to ask a question first before I say what came to mind, is the Oculus Rift already on the
I believe it is, yes.
Like, can people already go ahead and buy it and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, there's numerous VR devices that are out there.
Okay, so so what I want to say, the thing that came to mind, is that with the virtual reality games starting to become more of a reality than a concept and idea, I think that it would hurt Oculus Rift if sales got halted, in the sense that they wouldn't be able to compete with other VR systems like PlayStation VR, or like some of the VR systems that phone companies are making and stuff like that. And I think and that would just be a really big, huge loss to them, considering that they are about $500,000, they are potentially about to be $500,000 out as well. So it's just one big, huge disgusting mess, and it'll be interesting to see what comes of it. Like I'm a little bit more interested to follow it now that I've been a little bit more informed this evening, but I can't really like make a really justified opinion other than what I just stated.
Yeah. Now, an interesting concept is being brought up in the chat, which is basically like if I tried to write or let me see if I can actually find the exact words. If I specifically wrote the code that does the same thing as I did at a previous employer, the other thing that has to be brought into that is if you have, which in the gaming industry, although it would probably know this better than most, you probably have a non-compete clause when you sign over as a programmer. That's actually like a regular thing now, and that has to be considered here. Like if you have a non-compete clause, that creates a whole other problem with that. Especially with basically, I believe it's even for the testers, although it's mandatory for them to do it, isn't it?
What, sign a non-compete? No.
Non-compete clause?
No, I mean it depends. I mean, I've never had to sign a non-compete.
I know you have. I know you've had to sign a non-disclose, which those two are two separate agreements. A non-compete. I mean, for example, oddly enough, I'm going to use martial arts, for example, because there actually are martial arts schools that have you sign non-compete agreements. I am not making this up.
That sounds hilariously ironic.
Yeah. So let's just say that I went to this martial arts school, I got a black belt, and this martial arts school says, okay, we're going to give you this black belt, but as part of continuing to be a black belt and being able to teach, you have to sign an agreement saying that you can't leave the style and go start your own school in order to compete with us. And that's how a non-compete agreement works. Whereas a non-disclosure agreement means, okay, we're showing you these secret techniques, but you have to sign this agreement saying that you can't go and teach these techniques to a bunch of other people without our permission. And that's how a non-disclosure agreement works.
What's the other one that a lot of game programmers have to sign too? Because there's a non-compete, and then there's also one that basically like any ideas you come up with for this many years are the company's property. So like if you wanted to say do your new IP with another company, you couldn't because you came up with it within that company.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact term is, but that is an often a negotiation. Yeah. You see it a lot, and also, like, for example, if any of you who've heard of, like, the Writers of the Future writing competition, or if you've done stuff as part of a short film competition where they say, hey, anything you submit belongs to us. I mean, the example...
EA's flagrant with it. They always have it with their developments.
And I remember this is going to go way far back, but there was this TV show on NBC called The Cape, and they had a contest where you could design a villain. And in the fine print, it's like, okay, any villain concepts you submit to us become the property of NBC. And I don't know what the exact term is. I guess it kind of is giving them exclusive rights to the material. And that's the thing with contracts and business law, is that there's the reason that those contracts appear to be so long is that they've got to cover every single base possible, try to close as many loopholes as possible to avoid any possible form of infringement that they can't control, that they can't fight. Because as people have saw with, say, the Game Genie lawsuit, where Nintendo argued, hey, this makes the game's derivative worse, whereas lawyers were able to argue, no, it doesn't. The person who bought the game can do whatever they want with the game, and the Game Genie allows them to do that. And so that's the fascinating thing about business law, is that it can get really, really complex. And given the kind of stuff we're seeing from this lawsuit, and from the decision, possible appeal, the injunctions, and even the allegations back and forth from both ZeniMax and Oculus about why things went the way they did, I mean, Britton put it best. It is a mess.
Yeah. Alex, do you have any thoughts on this, the wrap-up for the ZeniMax lawsuit?
Although, real quick, just on my quick 30 seconds of research from Wikipedia, it almost sounds like it might be what you're talking about as a what's known as preemption right. But again, that's my quick 30 seconds of Google searching here, so I'm not going to absolutely say that's probably what we're talking about. But, and unfortunately it sounds, just based on the article alone, I haven't followed the case that closely either, beyond a few news bits here. But it almost does sound, unfortunately, like ZeniMax could potentially be in the wrong here, or no. Sorry.
It depends on how well the appeal goes.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like, unfortunately, this might be a case of code has been used when you signed agreements to not use code, and he might have actually taken the source code and reappropriated it for himself without actually modifying it to enough to be within the right of the law.
Yeah, but a lot of interesting ideas are being brought up in the chat too. But I have a feeling these will be argument points from Oculus's end. It's like, so you're basically blaming John Carmack for writing code that he's probably written before. He's probably written a similar algorithm in this engine compared to this engine. Those are probably going to be the arguments that I have a feeling that Oculus's lawyers will go with. I don't know how successful they will be because, well, especially when it comes to digital stuff, business law is still kind of murky on it. They're still trying to figure out all the details. So with that being said, final thoughts before we move on into the next story, which is kind of a double header.
Well, all I can say is that, well, this is business, people. It gets pretty ugly from time to time.
Yeah, it really does. So let's go ahead and get into the next story here, which is, like I said, a double header because they're basically both very small stories, but people wanted us to report on it. And starting up with, I literally got a guy who was just mad in his email to give me the story because, well, he was, I guess, a backer for the Kickstarter for Psychonauts 2. And he was expecting, in fact, I would say almost feeling entitled that the Double Fine should be the ones to make Psychonauts 2. Well, they've made a change in that. As of earlier this week, Starbreeze Studios, the publisher and developer behind Payday 2 and Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, will now publish Psychonauts 2. Now, Tim Schafer did confirm the publishing partnership in a new developer video for the crowdfunded sequel. So he did reach out to the Kickstarter backers and say, this is what they're going to do. This is probably in their best. Starbreeze is investing $8 million in the production of Psychonauts 2. And after that investment, the studio will receive 60% of the profits. From that point on, Double Fine will retain the rights to the Psychonauts IP, but they will be developing it from there on, or they will be publishing it from there on. And I don't know what to tell to the Kickstarter backers who are officially mad at this because, well, it's Tim's decision. You know, it's Double Fine's decision to reach out to a separate publisher. Granted, you got a couple of bits of new footage. You got a test video out of it. So, I mean, if it pushes things along, I don't see a problem. Given that I have a feeling Tim will still be as actively involved as he can be with Psychonauts 2 to make sure that they hold to the original vision.
Yeah. Plus, another thing people kind of need to consider is that there is a big difference between a company that is publishing a game as opposed to a company that is developing it. Basically, what Starbreeze is doing is that they're basically saying, hey, we'll take this game you developed, we'll pay for the costs to basically distribute it, whether it's through Steam, whether it's to consoles, whether it's covering the cost of printing the discs and the cases. That's kind of what Starbreeze is doing here, is that saying, hey, we'll take this game that you're making and we'll invest in it and we'll publish it. So it's not like that Starbreeze is going to take over, especially since Schafer made it clear that his company is still going to retain control of the intellectual property that is Psychonauts. It's just very much a case of, hey, this company is giving us money to help make this game, and they're going to publish it for us.
The best way to be able to describe this to people is that, yeah, you're exactly right. A publishing deal is not necessarily the same as developing it. So the publishing, this is similar to when Concept reached a deal with Deep Silver to be able to do physical distribution of Mighty No. 9. That's pretty much what this is. I'm pretty sure that Deep Silver was only involved from the the publishing standpoint, where they were publishing the physical discs and the box art and all that stuff, but they weren't necessarily involved in the developers portion.
Yep, it's a lot like with Harmony Gold and Macross. Harmony Gold simply published Robotech. They didn't actually animate Robotech.
Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and go down the panel. Aldo, do you have any thoughts on this one in particular? I can't remember if you and I have actually talked about Psychonauts 2 at all.
No.
I think we brought it up when the Kickstarter funded, but
I think so. I would just say don't be angry. If anything, be happy. This is more money that they get towards development. Mm-hmm. It's also a little weird because it kind of reminds me a little bit of like not No Man's Sky. What was it? Shenmue,
yeah.
Where people were like, oh, they're going to get funded anyways. It's a little bit different, right? Because these Double Fine wouldn't have even been able to start without the help of like Kickstarter or whatever. they did. So this is really just an extra push to help.
I think we found out since then that Sony was going to put money to Shenmue. They just wanted to see how the crowdfunding would go. Which
if you're curious about how something's gonna be received, I don't know. Put out a damn poll on Twitter. Don't make people pay for it if you're gonna pay for it. Anyways, we're not here to talk about Shenmue.
Oh, because I'd have thoughts on Shenmue, but
I do too. You've heard part of them right now.
Yes,
but honestly, be happy. This is gonna help the developers. This is gonna help them not maybe be able to pay all their developers a decent wage and maybe invest more money in more developers to help smooth out the development process. Yeah. Honestly, this is a good move. I don't think it's really much negative about it.
No, I think the problem is that people took it differently. And because the one email that I got in particular was basically saying that he thought Starbreeze was taking over for the development and publishing of the game. That's not the case. Right. They're only taking charge of the publishing.
Right. When you hear publishing, don't freak out too much. It depends on your publisher, right? Because
if it's EA, you have every reason to freak out.
Yeah. Don't worry, Tim Schafer's still involved. He's still working on this. In fact, if anything, this actually might give him the money he needs to hire a couple more developers to be able to get this game out quicker, kind of thing. I don't know. $8 million sounds a little less for that, but that's my guess.
It's an indie game essentially. $8 million can go quite a bit for an indie game.
That's true. Yeah. All right, Brinton and Alex, do either of you guys have thoughts on the matter?
I did have thoughts, but then I was politely reminded by you guys that the developer is not always technically the publisher, because at the start I was like, oh, that's terrible. Why, how dare they, grr? But then I was like, oh, wait. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I completely agree with Aldo. It's just kind of like people calm down. If anything, this is going to make the game that you're backing even better. And so it's okay. Put away your pitchforks, put away your flaming torches, save them for a rainy day, and you'll be just fine.
Well, the thing to keep in mind, people, is that publishers are just as important a part of that process, but for as much as we give crap to EA, well, BioWare's the developer of Mass Effect, and EA is the publisher.
So as another example, just to kind of help ease people kind of into this whole publisher thing, the reason why this is a big deal is because it's them putting money into the game, which not a whole lot of publishers do, because usually it's the opposite. You just have to pay for publishing. So as an example, Yooka-Laylee is being developed by Playtonic Games, but even that being a Kickstarter indie game, just like Psychonauts, it's being published by Team 17, which is the publishers behind Worms. So there you go. It's that's kind of what happened here. The big deal was that they got money.
And in a lot of cases, this could benefit because, well, if this game is high in popularity, then Starbreeze benefits just as much as Double Fine does. So that's how in a lot of cases
they're going to benefit a little bit more because
they got a 60%. 60%. They got a 60% cut. But the bottom line is that a lot of bigger companies, believe it or not, that's why they have publishing arms, is because I don't want to say it's easy money for them, because when you look at the heavy lifting that they're doing, they're making the physical copies and all that, and that's still part of the heavy lifting. But some people make the argument that the developers are the ones who are doing a majority of that work, and then the publishers just kind of sit back and let the success roll in, kind of thing. I don't know if I don't know if I would necessarily bank on that, but I've seen a lot of people actually make that analogy. It's weird, but okay. So Alex, did you have any thoughts on this before we move on?
To hit the nail on the head, I guess when I first heard your post about the Kickstarter backer felt robbed, because I just assumed, oh, he's a little upset because he contributed to what should be a pure indie game, purely kickstarted, and then someone comes in with additional funding. But you guys have pretty much said it. I wasn't upset. I'm not upset, and you really shouldn't be either, because it's a small sum of money. It's not quite as questionable as when Sony came in to back Shenmue Shenmue after Shenmue got funded, and I was also going to make the ukulele analogy that Team 17 also joined on Platonic to help with that game, and Aldo made it for me.
Sorry.
Exactly. We're on fire tonight. So the next story that we're actually going to go into is yet another publisher story, because another company has entered into the publishing biz, and that is our very own, or at least the most popular, Humble Bundle is now becoming a games publisher. They already have 7 games signed by the company. So in the future, you are looking forward to A Hat in Time for PC, Hacky Zack for PC and Xbox One, I Can Fell for PC, Keyboard Sports for PC, No Truce with the Furries, or with
It's
the Furies. Okay,
Yeah.
for PC.
One
I want to
R,
make sure.
Yeah, 1 R, it's Fury, 2 R's is Furries. I made the same mistake.
It's late, people. It's
One
late.
arms.
It's
here.
8 o'clock. It's not that
That's
late.
a disappointment
Yeah,
to
we
your
used to do this
parents.
at like 10 o'clock.
Bridget,
It's not
curb your
late at
hatred.
all.
Curb your hatred. Wait, it's not furries. Curb your hatred. Okay. So, Scorn for PC and Staxel for PC. All of these are now going to be published by Humble Bundle.
So
And-
just to piggyback off of Stephen Romney, 1 R is Fury, 2 R's is a disappointment to your parents.
2 R's is a disappointment to society.
Yeah, two R's is you have to use Tor to browse the internet.
Yes. So
2 R's is my soul slowly dying.
Yeah, 2 R's is you're no longer allowed near the Nintendo section.
I'm just saying this for the record. If you guys ever meet Brinton at a con, just don't mention furries. Just don't. You won't like what happens. Pandora's box will be opened.
Pandora's box was definitely opened this week, and it's opening again.
I didn't. Okay, that might have been my fault earlier this week. But
How many drink there? No, I'm not going to go there.
so already this is a little bit of a shock to the industry. I don't know why, because I mean, when I looked at this concept, Humble Bundle does have a good service there where they do offer like games that maybe you weren't able to get access to in that first run or didn't want to pay for it. But eventually I thought if they got enough of a base, enough of a funding for it, then yeah, it's not entirely impossible for them to become a games publisher and to help support indie games coming out. I just don't see them going out of their way for like a AAA effort or a AA effort, whatever you want to call it. I really do think that they'll just work with indie developers. So I'm just going to open up to the panel. What do you guys think of Humble? Now, actually, one in particular, Romney, I know that you are a user of Humble Bundle. How do you feel about them becoming a games publisher?
Yeah, honestly, it's not really that surprising, just given how successful their business has been operating. It's introduced a lot of games. Speaking personally as someone who's bought a lot of their bundles, that the thing with Humble Bundle, it's not even just, it's just discounted games. It's games that you buy, but some of the proceeds are also going to charities. And that's where you get a lot of the major bundles for books, comics, and for a lot of the games. I bought both the Sony and the Nintendo bundles when they released them. And so it's not that surprising, just given how well they've been doing for themselves, where it's just a case of, okay, we're making enough money selling these like games that wouldn't otherwise get attention. I think it's very much a case of, hey, we're making enough money. Let's start publishing some of these games that nobody else is really wanting to publish, and to further kind of help these indie studios get off the ground. And so I'm pretty excited. It shows that, hey, their company is growing, and unlike a lot of other publishers, they probably at least kind of get what allows certain games to basically work, that they're not going to, at least that's my hope, that they're not going to issue a bunch of arbitrary demands. They may just say, hey, maybe on your first run, could we do sort of a promotion where some of the proceeds from this game go to such and such charity or something. So I'd say it's a good thing, especially since it just shows, hey, Humble Bundle is expanding. It's growing up.
All right. Alex, do you have any thoughts on Humble Bundle becoming a games publisher as of now?
Well, sounds like a fine idea to me. I don't use the service myself, but I'm sure that they'll at least it's another good service for indie developers to get their games out. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope A Hat in Time comes out soon. I've been
You know what?
wondering about that game.
I don't even believe I can't even believe I'm saying this, but this actually might make me want to go and do Humble Bundle. I don't think I've ever signed up for it. Maybe I did like a temporary thing way back when, but this actually, I like the idea of Humble Bundle becoming a publisher, because then at that point you have somebody that I think would look out for the indie developer and would work as best as they could to get their games out there. Brinton, your thoughts on Humble Bundle becoming a games publisher?
I don't know too much about Humble Bundle, so I kind of did like a little research throughout, like kind of went in and to see who they were as when I could throughout this week between like my work and school. But it actually kind of excites me because The Hat in Time is a game that I've been following very closely because I would like to play it in the future once it is published and released. And so the fact that there is now a publisher for The Hat in Time, it makes me excited. And I look forward to seeing what these guys do in the future.
Indeed. Aldo, your thoughts on Humble Bundle becoming a publisher?
I mean, that's fine. Like, they do their Humble Bundle business fine, and I mean, they've expanded. They do books. They do like 2 different bundles, like a week or not a week, but whatever their cycle time is. So it's, I guess good. Whatever. Everybody's a publisher.
All right.
Publish away.
There really isn't a whole lot to go into. I'm excited to see what Humble Bundle brings to the table as a publisher, but we'll have to wait and see on when these games come out and see how well they do in the long run and see what other projects Humble Bundle actually takes on in the future. Because a lot of these I'm aware of them, but I would like to see like a lot of the indie efforts that maybe come to some of the conventions throughout the year. See whether or not they get covered by Humble Bundle as well. So moving on into the next story, which again is a last week story, but enough people sent this to me, not only Aldo and Romney, and I think Alex found this story too. So this came up last week. There is a new GameStop program apparently that leads employees.
It's not new. It's been around for a few years.
Yeah. But this program leads employees to lie to the customers. Now, a lot of people went up in arms about this, basically saying, "Oh, GameStop's lied to us." Meh. Guys,
so there was.
I hate to be a stick in the mud here, but this has been going on for quite a while, and I could tell you that. Sorry, Aldo, go ahead.
I was gonna say there was also an update from GameStop as well. And I mean, so to be clear, what we're referencing here is a Circle of Life program that GameStop has. I'm gonna go ahead and do your job.
Go ahead.
Circle of Life program. So it pretty much gives the GameStop stores like the goals that they have to reach for, essentially. So they have to like part of their sales have to match these goals, right? So like if they do like $100 in sales and their goal is 30% of Circle of Life sales, that means that 30% of their sales has to be like what are the things? It was like used games, pre-orders, the GameStop premium subscription thing, and there was something else I can't remember. So because these things can be pretty hard to achieve sometimes because you have a bunch of people coming in, picking up brand new games without pre-ordering, it skews their goals. So a lot of employees feel a pressure to like lie and figure out how to like meet these goals. And so it's not like GameStop is telling them to lie. It's the pressure, right? They're not directly telling them. And part of the update that I sent out to our panelists is that GameStop said, we didn't realize that there were these pressures, but we want to assure you that we are not asking you to lie. We're asking you to do your job, and we're sorry. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's been a thing. It's been like a super big issue. Like Jim Sterling and Kotaku have both been like constantly receiving letters from people. From employees. There's a lot of employees that are like, our store is fine. We've never had these issues. None of our employees have had these issues. Where other stores are like, yeah, we are under constant stress because there are stores that if they don't meet the goal, those employees will get fired. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, just to be clear, like I just want to be clear that GameStop isn't telling people to lie, but they are pressuring people to those circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a complicated situation, and one that actually has personally frustrated, because I don't think this is a new thing. This has been around for, I want to say, a number of years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Because they've always made it a priority to upsell things like the Game Informer subscription, things like pre-orders. And so when people come in and only get a new game or a used game, it doesn't help out with the numbers, and in turn GameStop then gets mad and tells them to go ahead and they follow the numbers. So, say bye-bye to the person who doesn't perform the best this week. So at that given moment, I've never been happy with that kind of a system. But I mean, the only solution that I have for people, if you're not happy with how they do this, is go support the other local stores that aren't GameStop. Go support, I can't even, go support your local Best Buy and actually say the games that you want. And
Best Buy also has just this shady practices.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, just support Amazon. Support
really,
your mom and pop shops. I mean, there's not that many, but there's a few out there.
Really, what I'm aiming for is support the mom and pop shops, because for crying out loud, those guys work their butts off far more than GameStop or Best Buy or any of them. And in fact, I've always found it easier with a mom and pop shop. Unfortunately, none of them are nearby me anymore. But if you are looking for something rarer, or if you're looking for something that maybe only GameStop would provide, these guys will go out and try and help you secure a copy. Kind of thing, because they do want your business. And so at that point, if you don't like how GameStop is doing it, go support the people that aren't GameStop, or support Amazon. I've found Amazon to be kind of my go-to guys in the last few years for any games that I'm trying to secure. The only time I'm worried about it is getting an Amazon game to come out on release day, because I usually get it about 3 days later.
Really?
So, yeah. Which is weird, because I'm a Prime customer. You'd think they'd work that out.
I've never, with the exception of 2 packages in the holiday season, and that's because of the holiday season, I've never had anything arrive late.
Yeah,
that's way weird.
I would ask for a refund, Adam.
Yeah, I would look into that. That's not right.
Adam, you shouldn't be putting up with that.
I have. There was actually a worse one where which one was it? I can't.
Adam, we're here to intervene at this point.
Yes, I know.
Well, I guess what probably happens is that was it an order that was specifically fulfilled by Amazon, or was it through a different seller? Because that can probably explain why maybe it came 3 days late.
No, these are ones that went directly through Amazon.
So that's a sign of something that's problematic.
Yeah, so I know that I've asked for at least one refund, and it was because the game wasn't 3 days late; it was a whole week and a half late. I wasn't happy about that.
All the time.
So yeah, that's happened. So let's open this up to the panel. Brenton, what are your thoughts on these GameStop practices, and what is your kind of solution to people who don't necessarily want to support this system?
Honestly, any company that has any sort of sales practice is always going to come with some sort of shady means to succeed in obtaining their quotas. One of the biggest things that came into mind was the Wells Fargo scandal that was revealed last year, where I used to work for Wells Fargo, and I can absolutely say with confidence that there is a lot of pressure from the higher ups to make sales, to essentially force people into opening accounts that they absolutely don't need. I was never part of a branch that actually opened accounts without the customer's knowledge. Thank God. I would have absolutely hated myself if I was a part of that. I think I would have quit a lot sooner if I did. But when a company wants you to hit specific numbers, or your job is at risk, they get pretty harsh on you, and they start coming up with all sorts of means to make it so that you can reach your sales goals. And Wells Fargo is one of the biggest offenders of that. In the sense that I I remember having fights all the time with my service manager where I was just like, dude, they don't need a debit card in this account, or they don't need a fifth savings account for no reason, or they don't need to open like some line of credit like that. Like that's completely and totally unnecessary. Like people just want to come in, take care of the transaction they need, and leave. If they need any sort of like banking assistance, they're going to talk to a banker. That shouldn't be my job. And I butted heads with my manager a lot, and I just ended up having to leave because I was like, you know what? I want to come in here. I just want to be nice to customers. I just want to get their transactions done and get them in and out the door. I don't want to worry about forcing people to opening accounts with Wells Fargo, especially if they absolutely don't need one, and being like a nuisance to people so that the only impression they have of that particular bank is that, oh, we just want to hit sales. We just want to hit quota. We don't care about you, which is hilarious because Wells Fargo's biggest deal is that, oh, we care about our customers. No, they don't care about their customers. I'm just going to say that right now, and they can lie through their teeth and they can kid themselves all they want. They don't give two shits about their customers. With that being said,
I love that Romney is like reacting to every statement that you're making, Brenton. It's like something tells me he's either a very loyal Wells Fargo customer or he has something to say on this.
Well, no, it's not that I'm like reacting negatively. I'm basically agreeing with everything Brenton's saying because I've got my own horror stories I could add to the pile.
Oh, I still have accounts at Wells Fargo, and the second I stopped working there and the second I lost like my customer privileges, I got treated like crap. And I was like, wow, this is pathetic. But with that being said, if you don't like the practices that unfortunately GameStop, okay, I'm going to backpedal a second. So with that being said, GameStop is a company where they require their employees to make certain quotas or else they're not going to have a job. It's them saying, if you're not going to come in and work and get these numbers, then why should we continue paying you? We can hire somebody else who can do it better. Unfortunately, that's how business works. That's how jobs work. And that's just how it is. There's no way to get around that. That's just, again, how it is. So if you don't like the way that they have to reach their sales goals so that your favorite GameStop employee can keep their job, then it's just like what Adam and everybody else has said so far. Go support Amazon. Go support your mom and pop shops if they still exist or are close by you. There are other outsources to where you can buy your video games. It doesn't have to be just GameStop. Luckily for me, the store manager and the assistant manager of the local GameStop I go to, the one that Nathan and I go to, we've gotten to become really, really good friends with the both of them, where they're completely honest with us. Like, for example, I pre-ordered the Breath of the Wild Deluxe Edition for the Switch, and the last time that I was just in there paying off my pre-order for the Switch, they told me, hey, we're not actually getting a whole lot of actual copies of the Deluxe Edition, and we're actually going to have to cancel certain pre-orders for those who did. We're going to go through all of our inventory. We're going to see everybody who pre-ordered, and if we can't secure one for you, we'll let you know and we'll get your money back. And then we'll just make your Deluxe Edition pre-order a regular pre-order. That way, obviously you still get the game. I'm personally hoping I don't lose my pre-order because I really want the Deluxe Edition and I paid it off in full. But for me, I'm in a lucky situation. They're completely honest with us. They let us know what's going on. And it's not even just us. They let everybody know what's going on. They try to provide the best service possible. If that's not the service you're getting, then you don't have to bring your service to them. It's like, oh yeah, we have this awesome thing, people, called making choices and having to right to make choices. So if you don't like GameStop,
well, we have this wonderful concept called voting with your dollar.
Exactly. And I'm now starting to get onto a tangent and talking very.
Well, actually, what I was going to point out is like I'm in the same situation. Like I used to have a local GameStop that I used to love. Like I was friends with every employee there. In fact, one of them became the district manager, and I was always happy to see him at my local GameStop. And then unfortunately, I had to deal with a dark time where everybody I dealt with at a GameStop, whether it be local or whether it be out of my way, were a bunch of, well, assholes. Thankfully, the local GameStop that I go to now actually has some really nice guys. One of them actually subscribes to Geek News as well as to my channel. And one of them actually is an artist who's working on art for my channel, but I don't want to give too much on that. But these are infinitely better people than I've had to deal with in like the last year or two, when I literally had to deal with an a-hole who got mad at me because I didn't pre-order the latest Call of Duty and I was more interested in getting, well, Final Fantasy 13 instead. So that's unfortunately the thing that you have to deal with. And if you don't like that, vote with your dollar, take it to the mom and pop store and move on.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
To be fair, like,
oh, sorry. The last thing I wanted to say. I'm sorry. The last thing I want to say is that people get so hung up. People get so hung up and they're like, oh, I have to shop here. And it's like, why do you feel that you have to? Like, there's no like law in society that says, oh, you want to buy video games, you have to go to your local GameStop. Like, I don't know what you personally have to do, viewer or whoever's listening to this, but you have to get out of that mentality and realize you can take your business wherever you want to go. If you're not happy with the way that you're being treated in a specific location, then you can go somewhere else who's providing the same services and maybe a little bit better to your liking. And that's all I wanted to say. So to each their own.
I honestly will say, like, to the people who want to make that argument of I only can go here because this game came out. Okay, here's a perfect story example. I back in the PS2 days, I purchased the Xenosaga series of games. Now here's the unusual one. One of my games actually somewhere has a Walmart receipt. It was not being offered at Walmart, but I was sick and tired of going to GameStop to get the damn thing. So I finally went to my local Walmart and said, I want to be able to get this. How hard would it be to secure that game? It actually wasn't that hard, and I was able to get one of them. I think it was episode 3 that I was able to get via Walmart. So here's the thing. People, you can vote with your dollar, and companies like Target or Walmart or wherever, they'll work with you because they want your money, kind of thing. So let's go ahead and kind of wrap things up. Alex, did you have any thoughts on this one? Aldo and Romney also. I know that you guys chimed in here and there, but if you have additional thoughts, let me know. But Alex, your thoughts on the GameStop situation?
I suppose I never been one to want to jump on the whole GameStop is evil bandwagon. They're a corporation and they've got some flaws, definitely. But if you do feel a sense of you like GameStop and you do kind of want to be loyal to them, but you don't like their shady practices and you don't want to take your business elsewhere, then, well, still raise the fuss then and let them know that you as a consumer who likes this particular company, alternatively, you want them to treat their people better and you want to give them their business, but you don't like their shady practices. So it's like Brenton says, the choice is really yours. The power is yours to do what you want. So you can either take your business elsewhere or you can also raise a fuss and say, hey, as a loyal customer to this particular store, brand, whatever, I want to give you my business, but I don't like these practices you do. And either way, I think you'll get the results you're looking for.
And yeah, Aldo, you're correct. We have Game Peddler. That's one of the local ones that we can do. It's just a crying shame because I actually can't shop at Game Peddler anymore. I actually ended up on their ban list. I can't even believe that they have a ban list. But because my friend worked there and I came over to visit quite a bit, I got on the ban list too. So,
are you kidding me? That's silly.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. The guy was unfortunately, like, other people might have a good opinion of him, but when I dealt with him, he was a dick. So that's just the way it went.
Yeah. And then there's also stores like the PGR Game Changers. They used to be called Play and Trade. They're kind of a local-ish company where they have multiple ones, but it's still local. That's because they do while they also specialize in used games, they also do a lot of stuff for new games as well. And I like going to those stores mainly because I like to see what rare games I can find and rare DVDs, as seen by my ever towering, ever precariously balanced DVD shelf. But yeah, it pretty much goes back to the same point of, vote with your dollar. If you don't like how one company does things, well, there's a bunch of others.
Yeah,
exactly. So let's go ahead and move on into the next hour, where we have the entertainment portion of the stories. And this one is going to be kind of brief, but a lot of people actually did ask, since this shows how much of a geek I am. I didn't realize that it was Super Bowl weekend until the next day. I'm not a guy who watches the Super Bowl. I don't care. I used to watch them a couple of years ago for big trailers like, say, the Avengers. I think I did it for Guardians of the Galaxy. But then I kind of abruptly stopped. I've seen a couple of the ads that came out via YouTube, but sad to say I've not seen like the Switch promo they had or the Zelda Breath of the Wild.
They're a minute long. Adam.
I haven't gotten around to it. I've been busy trying to catch up on the fact that I had a week and a half of not uploading anything. I know. So
the only Super Bowl commercial that I saw was the Nintendo one as well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, there's one in particular before I open this up
all
to the
those
panel.
Just like, I'm rage quitting the podcast.
It won't be the first time. I've been a majority contributor to that, unfortunately. So the only one that I'm going to mention, because I don't have a favorite per se, but enough people reached out to me, in fact, spammed the geekyweek@gmail.com address to get my opinion on it. They wanted to know my opinion about a trailer that launched, or the most recent trailer that has launched for Transformers: The Last Night.
No,
I don't care if I'm saying it wrong.
Baywatch.
I don't care.
It's Baywatch, Adam. Don't kid yourself.
It's John Wick 2, the 50 Shades of Dark trailer.
One of them actually put in his email, "How do you like your emo prime now?" Here's my opinion on it. I'm not seeing it. I've seen the trailer. It still hasn't proven to me that I should see the movie. And good luck with that. And also to add on to that, another person brought this up to me. Apparently, Michael Bay has been interviewed and has said that The Last Night will be, quote, his last Transformers movie. I'll believe it when I see it. Till
He
then,
said that about every movie he's done in the series.
Until then, I ain't paying for it. So with that being said, I'm going to go open this up to the panel on your favorite Super Bowl ad that, whether it be a trailer, whether it be just a regular commercial, starting with Stephen Romney.
Honestly, I'm kind of in the same
I kind of had a
boat.
feeling you were going to be in there too.
Because, I mean, I knew it was Super Bowl Sunday, but let me level with you people. I don't care about sports at all, and I don't even do the whole, I watch it for the commercials, because people were uploading the commercials literally the week before the Super Bowl.
They're literally like I've literally seen trailers that have gone up like 5 seconds before they hit TV time, just because of the upload of the upload time for YouTube. So at that point, to say that you just watch it for the commercials, there's another way to do it, people.
Yeah, and so honestly, I haven't really been going around watching any Super Bowl ad, because it's been for a lot of stuff that, well, I just don't really have much of a vested interest in, and that's just kind of how it is. I haven't seen any of them. I literally how I spent that Sunday was reading the backlog of comics that I forgot to pick up from the nerd store that I picked up earlier that day, because it literally was like a stack this thick. I'm thinking, I should probably read these because they're starting to pile up. So that's how I spent that Sunday, was just reading comics and playing Final Fantasy 15.
Here's what I was doing when the Super Bowl happened. Editing 3 different podcasts. Moving on. Alex, your favorite Super Bowl ad, if you have one.
Don't have one, because you guys have pretty much said reasons, but the same reasons for me. It's like most Super Bowl commercials are typically, besides movie trailers anyway, or game trailers, it's usually beer. Well, okay, I don't drink alcohol really. New flashy cars, which I could never afford in my life, or other stupid stuff that I don't need, care, or want. So no, I really don't pay much attention to Super Bowl ads.
And for the record, I do agree with Alda. He just put it in our chat. that the Mr. Clean commercial is super erotic. Yes, I agree. It really was. That's like the one of the few commercials I've seen. Brenton, your favorite Super Bowl ad, if you have one.
Well, the first thing I want to say is, while everybody just happened to be watching some sort of sports game, I was enjoying the Lady Gaga concert.
Oh, the Lady Gaga.
Yes. Like, I sat there and I was like, oh, how sweet of them to have a football game during the Lady Gaga concert. That
Lady Gaga concert. I was almost
Gaga.
expecting Aldo to say Lady Gaga again.
I saw the Zelda one, which I loved, which is probably the only thing that I would have liked, to be completely honest. I don't know why I'm swiveling my chair still, but and then
thinking.
And then the Baywatch one, Baywatch. I am completely kidding. Gross. Anyway, so Zelda, that's me.
I think we broke Aldo. I think we broke Aldo.
Surprised you did not like Baywatch. I am so stoked.
I have heard there's a trailer. I probably will have to watch this because we have reported on the Baywatch movie. So.
Baywatch is going to be my jam.
Everybody just expects me to have like a hard on for like every like good looking man in Hollywood.
No, I meant not that.
I don't know why you were going that direction. I didn't go that direction.
I don't expect.
I'm taking that direction, and we all know that that only happens for one man in my life, and that is Nathan Pyle.
I was actually going to say, like, were we going to find some way to bring Batman into this? I'm kind of glad we didn't.
I actually was going to, but then I was like, I am getting married. I should probably stop making those jokes.
I was going to say, I don't really expect you to, like, I don't really expect your boner ever, so I don't expect that.
I hope you don't expect my boner.
I expect your boner to go in the proper directions.
I thought we had similar sense of humor and movie taste, so that's why I was surprised you didn't like Baywatch.
Oh no, I'll probably go see Baywatch. Like,
is Dwayne still part of it?
Yeah, he is. Okay. No, I will most likely go see Baywatch and enjoy it for its comedic hilarity. I'm just being silly because I'm pretty sure somebody out there is going to be like, oh, are we going to get like the beach boner? And it's like, no, it's not happening.
You've already named it.
I already named it.
I want to see Dwayne's character actually come into a real life conflict with The Rock, and for some reason their conversation ends up in pie somehow, and then it ends in complete slow motion. That's what I want.
Oh my gosh.
That would be hilarious.
So since I skewed that, The Legend of Zelda, I liked it. It was a good commercial, and they had it to the back of an Imagine Dragons song, and I love Imagine Dragons. So I was just like, I really, really, really want my Switch now.
Can I make a confession really quick before people jump down my throat?
No, Adam.
I'm officially done with the advertising for Breath of the Wild.
We're only getting started, Adam.
Well, my only problem is that the most advertising that I've seen has been, oh my gosh, you can beat the game in 15 minutes. Oh my gosh, you don't have any restrictions whatsoever. You can go and do what you want when you want. And I'm just kind of sitting there going, so there's going to be a story, right? Because I kind of want a story.
If that's the only advertisement you've seen, then buddy, you got to read more sources.
Well, I mean, I saw the big Switch one, which actually did show us a story, but I mean, all the articles that get sent my way is like, you can beat this in 15 minutes, and everybody's like, yay, it's back to the original Legend of Zelda. I hate to confess this, people, but if I were to actually label my favorite Zelda games, the original Legend of Zelda wouldn't be in that list. So I'm sorry. I like the fact that they're going into the open exploration, but I want story. I don't have a problem with the game entering tourism mode for me, and I can go and do these temples and get a story out of it. That's my only deal. And now that I've officially angered the internet, Aldo, your favorite Super Bowl ads, because as you've made it sound, it's your mini Christmas.
Yeah, I don't watch the Super. You guys, I don't understand what was up with like the 10-minute tirade of all like three of you guys going. I don't watch it for the things. It's like, yeah, that's not the point. We're not here to talk about the Super Bowl. The agenda says favorite Super Bowl trailer ad. Not why you hate the Super Bowl.
I tried to keep this brief, and I failed.
Hey, I said I enjoyed the Lady Gaga concert.
The Lady Gaga, yes.
And I said exactly about the commercials. The commercials don't have any appeal to me because they're usually for expensive cars that I'll never be able to afford, or beer I'm never
So
going to
Aldo complained about the tirade, and he got the tirade again.
Yeah. Anyways, I was not pleased with the Legend of Zelda trailer, mostly because so here's my problem with that. I was expecting a Switch trailer, but really we got a Zelda trailer. And the extended trailer was an actual Switch commercial. Trailer. Yeah. Apart from that, I mean, pretty, look at us, we're riding on horseback. I'm already hyped. You don't need to hype me more. Other than that, I don't know. I'm really excited for John Wick 2. I'm really happy they had like a couple trailers that took some jabs at other movies. The one I called out specifically, they made a jab at 50 Shades. So
I've actually got somebody private messaging me, Aldo. Since you've seen all of these Super Bowl ads, he wants your thoughts on Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, the Ghost in the Shell trailer. Jeez, man. Okay, so short story is, I'm still skeptical. I'm not very. It's a little two-sided. I'm very not excited for the story. I don't feel that Hollywood is gonna have the balls to like really take a philosophical, hard look at Ghost of the Shell. But it's gonna look pretty as hell. Like, like the images, the imagery, the special effects. It looks great. Honestly, I love the original Ghost in the Shell movie had a very like beaten down Hong Kong look to it, and this has a lot more of an 80s cyberpunk high fidelity type look. You know, neon and lights everywhere. You know, whoever you are, feel free to hit me up on Twitter, and I'll be more than happy to talk to you about
I already sent them your Twitter, so they can send it directly to you. But I mean, my thoughts on it, like that's actually one of the few movie trailers that I wanted to go see because, well, I believe, and you guys can correct me on this. This is on a group review on the group review list. Since a lot of us since we've been covering Ghost in the Shell for a while now, I think it is actually on the group review list. So at that point, people can know what we think when the movie comes out. I don't know. We'll need to double check that. But so let's go ahead and move on from the Super Bowl ads. I think we pretty much covered it. This one is a little bit more, everybody screamed up going, you got to cover this, you got to cover this. And I'm the skeptical person in the room because, well, I've heard this so many times already. So it was announced earlier this week that Netflix, I believe they announced this 2 years ago, but and there's been stuff back and forth, but the long rumored Castlevania series is happening, and Netflix is going to be the one that puts it out. So the reason I'm kind of skeptical on this is that this is not the first time I've heard or I've been to this dog and pony show, so to speak. I remember way back when, I can't remember who actually wanted the rights, but somebody actually wanted the rights to do a mini series on Castlevania 3. And so that was like the starting one. And then eventually, like every couple of years, we would hear, oh, this person wants to do a Castlevania animated series, or this person wants to do a live action series.
Well, I haven't really heard about like the live action series stuff, but I know that the initial series was announced. It's the same producer, which is Adi Shankar, which many of you may recognize for the infamous Power/Rangers short film. And it's basically being produced by Adi Shankar, but also being produced by Fred Rader Studios, who many of you may know as the people behind stuff like Adventure Time, Bravest Warriors. I think they also worked on stuff like Fairly Odd Parents. They get around in the cartoon industry, to say the least, and that they had been working on it for quite a while, and now they're saying, hey, we're actually going to release it this year now.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up because this is the reason that that a listener brought this to our attention, which is that Adi Shankar, aka Power/Rangers, is producing the series, and wanted to get our opinions on that one specifically. And my opinion is, okay, whatever. I saw Power/Rangers, and I'll be honest, I didn't like it. I thought there were a couple of funny moments here and there, but I didn't really like it. Do I think he's going to, quote, ruin Castlevania? I don't know. I've only seen Power Slash Rangers from the guy. So at that point, the only thing that I know from other testimony is that apparently this series is going to be super rated R. I don't know what that means, people. I guess that it's going to be a gore fest. I was expecting it to be a gore fest.
boobs.
It means erotic violence. That's the joke I kept seeing.
Oh, yes.
So Konami is behind it.
Well,
So-
Erotic
of
violence.
course they would have to be because they owned the just. Broke my
I
brain for a
get your
second.
reasoning, but I mean, so basically what you're saying is this entire animated series is a pachinko machine because of
Yeah.
erotic violence. Okay, all right.
Yeah, maybe this is just their way of releasing all the pachinko cutscenes to the U.S. since we don't have a pachinko market. Maybe that's the
Yeah.
whole plan. Is that
Yeah.
all,
Go ahead.
well, it's just that maybe all the stuff we see as the series is stuff that in Japan you have to only see on the pachinko machines. That's my guess.
You say that like it's a bad thing, but the graphics for the pachinko cutscenes looked really good.
Well, aside from the reused assets from Curse of Darkness.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, my thoughts are pretty simple on it. This isn't the first time I've ever heard of a Castlevania animated series, live action series happening. If it's happening, great. I'll watch it. If it's super rated R, fine. I've watched Game of Thrones. I think I can handle an animated Castlevania series. And that's like the worst that I ever saw. But, well, actually this week, that wouldn't be the worst that I saw now, would it? But yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
but at that point, I mean, I'm not against the idea. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
mostly excited because at the very least, I mean, yeah, say what you can about Adi Shankar. The fact that Fred Raider is involved, that has me at least somewhat optimistic. Thinking, okay, it's not just blowing smoke. If Fred Raider is actually coming out next saying, hey, yeah, we're making this.
I'll take your word for it because I'm not a fan of Adventure Time. So
Well, yeah, I'm not either. I'm more of a fan of some of the other stuff like Bravest Warriors, B, and Puppy Cat. But Fred Raider as a company has shown that they're willing to kind of try to push the boundaries a little bit on animation, especially in the rise of YouTube and internet video, as seen with stuff like Bravest Warriors. And so I'm guessing they're probably thinking, hey, maybe this will get us to advertise to the Samurai Jack crowd almost. That's kind of what I'm hoping that they're probably going to try to do, which... Well,
and here's the thing. If you guys haven't seen the trailers for season 5 of Samurai Jack, I don't know about you guys, but it looks amazing to me. It looks like the darker tone that they already said that they were going to do. So, I mean, I'll stick with Romney on this one. I'll see it when it comes out. Now, Alex, you're kind of a Castlevania fan. You and me have been playing Castlevania games on Draken's Shadow. What is your thoughts on this animated series?
Well, we first reported on this probably a few years ago, but back then it was still much in the rumor mill territory. The fact that they seem to have actually Netflix tied to it makes me more confident that we'll see it in the near future compared to when we first reported on it. So, you know what? I'll watch it. It sounds like it could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix right now, like the animated series that I've seen them back, like Voltron, and I've seen a little bit of Knights of Sidonia now. I'm not disappointed by their work. So, not their work, the studios, but I'm happy that Netflix backed them. Brenton, your thoughts on a animated Castlevania series that's going to be super rated R?
I'm not too super familiar with Castlevania, besides the fact that I like
It's okay.
Well, I mean, like you say Castlevania, and I'm like, oh, okay, like I know the game. I've never played it, and so like I can recognize what it is. I've never played the game. I know nothing about the story. If this were to come out, yeah, I'll give it a chance. I'll go ahead and watch it. I mean, I'm like
Alex, permission to spam Brenton's email with all of our playlists.
Permission granted.
Yes. All right.
Oh my Lanta, I'll just watch you guys before I go to bed.
That works too.
I want to rephrase that, please. Anyways,
No, I'm not rephrasing that. That's exactly how it came out. I'm sticking to it. I'm gonna watch them before I go to bed.
All right. So basically, what he's admitting to is that he basically watched me proverbially pee my pants before he went to bed.
It was entertaining.
Yes. For those who don't know what I mean, go look up Drac Resident Evil 7 and you'll get it.
It was I enjoyed that video immensely. Anyway, like I've super rated R. I don't even know what's even really super rated R. Maybe
Neither
John
do I.
Wick. Well, maybe John Wick 2. That was super violent. Holy shit. But
at that point, it's like Castlevania. Okay, so if they stick to the same style that Castlevania has done, which I don't know if they will, then at that point it's going to be kind of anime-ish. And
I really don't think they go with the anime art style. This is an American studio.
Could be.
I mean, they might to an extent to try to appeal to the fan base, but keep in mind, the Castlevania franchise has gone through many different styles. They weren't always anime inspired. That kind of came about during the DS era.
But it's vampire based. So at that point, you're going to be looking for a lot of gothic imagery and blood and all that. I don't see any particular issue out of this. It's going to make sense for it to be as R-rated as it can be.
Yeah, I don't have like super big qualms. So again, like I'll watch it. It sounds interesting. You guys have like talked about Castlevania a lot, and it is something that I should probably jump on into, even if I never actually play the games myself. It is a part of our geek culture that I should, familiarize myself with. And I think this is just a wake-up call to actually start doing that. So,
yep. Aldo, your thoughts on a Castlevania animated series for Netflix?
So I don't really care about Castlevania. I don't. It's whatever, right?
If it comes here in Pachinko, you will.
I mean, not really. I'll watch the cutscenes.
Oh, okay.
Like, I mean, I played. What was it? That Lord of Darkness, I think.
Lords of Shadow.
Yeah, sure. And that was as was most people's response. But I never liked Symphony of the Night or any of those quote unquote masterpieces. So I guess that makes me unfit to be a games journalist, but whatever.
It depends on who you ask. I mean, there's
right.
For some it's Symphony of the Night, the other it's Super Castlevania 4. I've seen riots break out.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, I should be considered not an actual reviewer because, well, I liked such abominations as Castlevania, Lords of Shadow, and Metroid Other M's. So there you go.
I mean, yeah, the Metroid M really just revokes your license. I can forgive Lord of Shadow. No,
it's too bad I don't have Miss Offensive here to stand and be my shield, so to speak. But go on.
Wasn't say, but honestly, if I cared about the franchise, I would actually be a little bit more excited. I like Adi Shankar. I think he kind of. I'm not gonna say as a whole he gets dark right, but I've liked his stuff. Like I liked his Dirty Laundry video. That was a Punisher video. I really enjoyed Power Rangers. I liked what was it called? He did one about Eddie Brock from Spider-Man.
Venom, Truth and Journalism.
Yes. So he's done a few of them. I've enjoyed them.
Yeah.
But that's him as a director, right? That's not him.
No, that's him as a producer. He actually only has one credit as a director, one as a writer, but everything else has mostly been either as an actor or as a producer, and that seems to be his primary role, which a lot of people may think a producer doesn't do much, which is far from the truth. A producer...
It also depends on the producer. Some producers don't do a whole lot. Some of them are heavily involved. And because the films he's produced have a very consistent style, it feels like to me, I wouldn't be surprised if he's very involved as a producer. I don't know. I like Frederator. I enjoy Adventure Time, and I would love to see what that team can do outside of the Pendleton Ward art style.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they already have some pretty effed up imagery in Adventure Time, which is a kids show, anyways.
Kids show, I would put it.
Yeah,
I would put hearts on that.
It's like a kids show, just like Avatar was a kids show, and Legend of Korra was a kid. Anyways,
like people keep on trying to tell me that Steven Universe is a kids show.
None of those are kids shows.
That's why we're calling them kids show now.
Yeah, note the finger quotes that people listening to this later cannot see.
Oh yeah,
you'll get it. You'll get it.
So I'm actually kind of excited. I'll probably at least check out maybe the first couple episodes, see if the story actually gets me interested. But honestly, though, I'm more excited for this as a showcase of like the Adventure Time team, assuming it's them, right? Because Frederator includes probably a huge amount of.
Yeah, it gets a bit tricky because although they do have like a stable of storyboard artists and writers that they bring in, they usually outsource the actual animation itself to a lot of other studios. Primarily in South Korea is where a lot of, like, I know that's where Bravest Warriors is animated, and a lot of other shows is animated in South Korea. And so, at the very least, we at least have people who know how to draw and know how to, at the very least, compose an image. So, I'm with you. I'm definitely curious to see how they handle something that isn't created by Penn Ward in some capacity.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I know they're saying like it's super rated R as like a selling point, and maybe that's to tell parents, hey, if you see this cartoon on Netflix, don't show it to your kids because this is that super rated R.
But they will anyway.
I mean, people are idiots anyways.
Yeah.
But but I think the cool thing about it will be that since it's on Netflix, it's an animated show. To me, this kind of feels a little bit like when HBO made the Spawn cartoon series, right?
Yeah.
So we might see like a resurgence of Western adult animation. Maybe. I'm not going to pin it all on Castlevania.
Which, here's the thing that's going to blow people's minds. I actually wouldn't mind that.
Yeah.
I've seen the Spawn series later on in my life, and I actually liked it. And I'm not a big Spawn fan.
I mean, it was kind of meh.
And I think the thing we should emphasize is not just animation for adults, but animated drama for adults. Because people think, oh, but Family Guy and Simpsons, yeah, those are comedies. We're talking actual animated drama like the Spawn series or stuff like Eon Flux, for lack of a better example.
Yeah.
I can't do Eon Flux. So since we pretty much hit this nail over the head, there's actually an additional story that we need to cover with it, which actually involves the Castlevania show's producer, Adi Shankar.
Although, are we not going to mention... Hold on, Ned. Are we not going to mention Warren Ellis's writing the scripts?
Hold on. Let me get... Okay,
you're going into Power
Rangers. Warren Ellis is writing the scripts.
I mean, to be fair, Adam, we're pretty bad at segueing, so we're on the lookout.
So the additional story that people wanted us to cover was Castlevania's producer Adi Shankar is also going to be his next project. He has said he wants to do a dark reimagining of the first 3 seasons of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Yep, he wants to do that. I mean, there isn't a whole lot that we can add on to this, but I wanted to at least bring it in here because we've mentioned Power Slash Rangers a couple of times in covering this story. I mean, right now he's just basically putting this out as pure theory. I don't like. There's kind of some discussion on whether or not he's going to be able to get this off the ground. I actually think Saban Brands will not even let him, but that's just me.
Yeah, because I mean, a fan film is one thing. Well, fan film being used very loosely, where it's meant to be a parody. Trying to do a full-on series, especially when you've got a new movie coming out, they have their new line of comics, and they've got all this other stuff that they're doing with Power Rangers as a brand. I highly doubt Saban's going to look too kindly on Adi Shankar trying to make an actual series based on the R-rated Power Rangers idea.
I mean, to be fair, it hasn't stopped him before. Like when he did James Bond in service of, was it Service of the Queen? It's in service of something, but like he made the movie, released it, and then like a few months later, or a few weeks later, the company that owns James Bond was like, "No, stop it."
Yeah,
but it's the internet; nothing disappears.
The way that I literally looked at this, and I think a lot of others should look at this, is that he wants to make Power Slash Rangers again, or at least he wants to do, his version, his darker version of how the first 3 seasons of Power Rangers should go, which is Power Slash Rangers as far as I'm concerned. And that's great and all. You want to be able to do it, but you have one major problem standing in your way, which is Saban Brands. Saban Brands is not going to be happy about you doing it.
Well, I mean, if he does it as a fan project, I mean, sure, they can do like a season
project, they have no say.
But like, I mean, if he does like as a fan project and then just releases it all on YouTube, sure, they can take him down or whatever, but like, they can't actually stop him from like physically making the thing.
No.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the only real way that I think he could get away with it is if he is basically keeping it as just uploading it to YouTube for free and having to put in a lot of the disclaimers he had to put for Power Slash Rangers, saying, "Hey, this is not officially endorsed by Saban Brands," and a lot of that same stuff. I mean, honestly, looking at it, of seeing how he wants to do a series, I mean, maybe the way I could see it, and this is just me spitballing, is that maybe he does like one short film that kind of does a primer of how each individual season would play out. But trying to do anything more than that, and that could be asking for trouble from Saban.
Yeah, exactly. So at this point, I would say Adi, get focused on the Castlevania series before you start going into this, because I see some major hurdles coming your way, especially if you want. I mean, if this is just going to be a fan project, then you're going to be fine. But if you are looking to do this with Saban brands ain't gonna be interested in it. So at that point, let's go ahead and unless Brenton and Alex have additional thoughts on this, let's go ahead and move to the next story here.
I got thoughts. Hold your horses. Jesus.
I
do
don't.
they involve Warren Ellis as well?
No, well, I don't know why you skipped over that little detail. Anyway, no. Regarding the Power Rangers thing, well, I joked when I posted the story, but I'm like, didn't you already learn your lesson when Saban kind of put the kibosh on you the first time? Clearly, no. So the only way I could see him truly kind of doing this and still getting away with it now is if he actually made something kind of more derivative rather than actually calling it Power Rangers. He actually did something sort of in the same vein as Power Rangers, worked around it enough that, okay, it's borderline to parody to something different enough that he couldn't be sued. Because, I mean, now the fact that he has a Netflix series just tells me like he can no longer pass it off as a fan project, because now he's essentially, I guess, quote unquote, professional. So that makes me think if he tried it as an actual Power Rangers project, this time Saban would really come down on him like a ton of bricks. Instead of just the usual C&D, they might actually pursue legal action.
Okay. Yeah. And then what was the additional thing you wanted to bring up? Since I did skip over you. Oh, what was the thing about Warren Ellis? That's the
that he's writing the Castlevania series.
Yeah,
that's what
legendary comic books writer Warren Ellis. The guy that's written really.
What is he written? Because I don't. The name doesn't.
How do you know what he's written? Come on, I know. I don't follow comics. I know who he is.
I know only a couple of. Seriously, what's
Transmetropolitan? Have you read that? Have you heard
Transmetropolitan?
Yes.
I don't know. Honestly, don't know. If it's recent, then no, probably not.
No, it's not. You know what? No, we're done here.
Although I think you need to pull out the boxing gloves. I think we've got more sources to punch.
I honestly I only know a few comic book developer or comic book writers off the top of my head.
Comic book developers.
It's late, people.
It's 9 o'clock.
Adam, we usually are doing a pre-show by now if we were still in the old schedule, and that would even be for another 24 hours.
Okay, so here's something. Here's the little franchise you might have heard of, Adam. Okay. He wrote the initial arcs for Ultimate Fantastic Four.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yep, he's also a longtime writer on Adventure Time, which is probably how Fred Rader was able to pull him into the fold, is saying, "Hey, you worked on Adventure Time. Come work on this thing."
He was also the writer for Iron Man Extremis, which was an excellent, which laid a lot of the foundation for the Iron Man films. Gosh, I'm just trying to recover here. Anyways,
well, I mean, at this point, this is just another Michael Bay moment for me. So,
I think one of the important things is that Eddie Shankar has said that this Power Rangers thing, going back to that, it's his next project, and that's what he calls everything. It's not like an official thing, and I mean, he has the budget, he has the talent. Not him personally, he has the people that have the talent. It's, to me, I know it's not the same thing. I know legally it's not the same thing. In my head or my heart, it's essentially the same thing as the Team 4-Star stuff.
Okay.
To me, that's how I interpret his love of making these events.
That's a way to look into it. Yeah.
I mean, but like I said, legally, it's definitely not even the same thing. There's a difference between using original footage for a parody or commentary, as opposed to trying to make a dark reimagining of Power Rangers with breasts.
That's why we ultimately want this. Apparently, was we finally want breasts in.
Well, I mean, I got those in Power/Rangers, so
Yeah.
there's
Did
that.
we? You're talking about the Zack moment, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like even after Saban took those down off of like Vimeo and YouTube, they were later put back up. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming he might have fought some sort of something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I know the big thing is that he had to put all those disclaimers saying, "Hey, this is not like officially endorsed," and like the usual disclaimer saying, "Hey, this is not official. Please don't think it's official."
Disclaimers are really good friends of yours. Just throwing that out.
So
and the thing that kind of has me curious is that he would be doing this as animated stuff, and he has produced animated stuff before. Like I'm literally looking at his IMDb stuff. He's done animated stuff for Judge Dredd. He's done he's done a couple of other like animated, like he's been producers on animated films. So it very much is the case. He basically knows the guy who knows the guys to kind of get these ideas off the ground. So for all I know, it could just be another 6-episode miniseries like the Judge Dredd miniseries that he produced. That's all about the origins of Judge Death. And so it's just simple matter of we don't know. It's too far in the ether to really have a concrete form yet.
yeah. So let's go ahead and move on into the next story here, because I think we've pretty much hit the nail on the head. And this one I actually think is going to be fairly optimistic from the panel. If we were actually going, that might actually help it. But so Crunchyroll has come out this week and announced that they are going to be doing a convention titled Crunchyroll Expo. The convention is scheduled between August 25th and 27th in Santa Clara, California, but they've already launched a website for the event, and so this will be basically a gathering for Crunchyroll fans to be able to get together.
Did you just gloss over, like, you didn't even touch the reason why, Adam?
Well, I was getting there.
Get there faster.
Okay, all right. Well, here's an idea, although since I'm not going fast enough, you go.
Okay. Crunchyroll surpassed 1 million paid subscribers.
Yes.
And over 20 million registered users as well.
They did.
Yeah.
And first of all, congratulations to them, because that's amazing. But yeah, they're going to be doing this this convention. The director of events, Adam Sheehan, has commented that the convention's goal is to follow a different model from other anime conventions. He cited conventions and trade shows such as BlizzCon, PAX, South by Southwest, and E3 as being one of the reasons for it. And actually, we got a listener that brought this to my attention just because he wanted our opinions, but for some reason had the impression that I was going to hate this. I like BlizzCon and I like fan conventions. I don't know why I would hate it, but I guess the next question has to be, is Geek News going to it? And unfortunately, I have the poll in from K2SO, who now manages our budget, and he has since said no, we will not be going to Santa Clara. Sorry, we can't afford it.
I mean,
we are still trying to recover from the Prozac budget incident of 2016. And
which basically reads as the entirety of 2016.
Mm-hmm. There's an incident literally for every day of 2016.
I mean,
so
to be fair, speak for yourselves. I'm actually planning on going to this.
You're going to go? All right.
I'm trying.
I would like to go, but I've already booked a cruise for after my wedding, so just
priorities.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I would like to do with Nathan, but him and I are paying for our wedding and honeymoon, so that is like really my big vacation for the year. So if they do it again next year, I would like to go, but again, it all depends on financials at that point.
Yeah, and for those who get the presumption, and there are people that actually do give me this crap when I bring it up, but weddings ain't cheap.
No.
Even if you want to have a small wedding, they ain't cheap. So at that point, that's probably in the best interest, because you're already having to pay for not only the wedding itself and the honeymoon and all that stuff. Trying to fit in other expenses like flying out to Santa Clara to be able to go do this might not necessarily be in your best interest.
Well, yeah, exactly, because if you think about it, if we did by some magical chance end up going, like people, you have to understand, like that's plane ticket. That's like a plane ticket there and back, and passes for like all 3 days, and then a wedding, a plane ticket to Florida, a cruise, and then a plane ticket back to Utah. That's like
and that's not even factoring in all the hotel stays for all of that as well.
Oh yeah,
that should be expensive.
Yeah,
transportation, food. Yeah. Your budget's going to be strapped, dude. But at the end of the day, we all just hope you have fun.
But at this point, I think we're going to have a podcast representative there in the fact that Aldo's going. So we're covered.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, Aldo, if you go, like I'll be jealous, but at the same time, like I'll be happy for you too, because it really, like, this really does sound like fun, and I've been and I've been trying to find new anime and new anime in general to jump into now that I've completed like both Bleach and Naruto. And so when I like read the article and stuff like that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is something that I would love so much to go to, just to jump into other sorts of culture and within the anime culture, and just like find new things that I may potentially like and stuff. It genuinely sounds like a super fun convention, and it's something that I really do want to go to, but I mean, you have to prioritize, because I'm not gonna get back into my financials again. But you do have to prioritize. Do I have the funds for this? If I don't, then you have to sacrifice, and that's that.
Yeah, and unlike Brinton, I don't have somebody to share my life with, so I have money to go to this.
I was wondering if Aldo was going to go that direction. He's going to guilt us in the fact that he does not have that special somebody.
That's.
But I
feel like that's a personal problem.
I believe the word you're looking for is a personal problem.
Directly correlates to my budget.
So at that point, I'm actually just going to theoretically put this out. Like, if this was like we could actually make it work, how many on the panel actually would want to be able to go to this convention and attend like all the days and all that stuff? I have a feeling Aldo would, Alex would, because that'd be like right in their alley. Brenton would. The only one I can't see is Romney. So
it was off camera. I didn't have it in camera.
Yeah. I would like to be able to go, because if for no other reason than I think Crunchyroll would have some amazing vendors, and I would be able to get some awesome stuff out of it. So, and
for me, it'd be an excuse to finally travel outside of Utah, because I have not ever set foot outside.
Oh, Romney!
I haven't told Romney this, but
we need to get you out of this state, even if it's like for a month.
I keep forgetting to bring this up, but somebody actually wanted to start this is one of my friends who watched the podcast. He wants to start a movement to get the podcast to go somewhere. It doesn't necessarily need to be anywhere of merit, just so that Romney can officially say he's been anywhere outside of Utah.
Yeah. Here's a nice pitch for the name for you. Get Romney to the ocean.
Well, they were basically saying we need to get him to Idaho. We need to get him to Colorado. Like, even if it's just a state over, we need to just get him out of Utah. And it's like, but that's kind of defeating the purpose. He wants to go like somewhere.
There's like nothing fun in Idaho. Like, I vote for the beach.
Well, not unless you like potatoes or history, I guess.
Or football.
Well, I like potatoes, but I'm not going to go to Idaho for potatoes. They're already here.
Yeah. I mean, at least with a state like Wyoming, you have like the Mountain Man Rendezvous. It's like something like that would be a good destination. But we're getting kind of off topic.
Yes, we are. So at that point, I mean, I just thought I'd bring that up because somebody wants to start up a movement to get Romney out of the state of Utah. It doesn't necessarily need to be. I swear, like this movement will end when he is just over the Utah border, and then it's like goal accomplished, and then we're moving on. That's not what he means, people. He wants to go to like Disneyland or something. So who knows? Maybe if we can get this podcast popular, then maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah. Either that, or I'll just start a Kickstarter saying, "Hey, I'm making a travel documentary as someone who's never set foot outside of Utah."
Oh, I would totally
that'd be instantly funded.
That
would be instantly funded because everybody go, "Oh."
Do a GoFundMe, Romney, because there's if you don't meet the goal, you don't have to.
Yeah, but with GoFundMe though, they take so much money that you don't that you get. It's pain in the ass to try to get it out.
That's
Jiro suggests go to Arizona. LOL. Phoenix Comic Con. Okay.
that's not bad. I have friends in Arizona.
I've got
along
another
with
podcast where he, my panelist there, is actually making a very active argument for us to go to Arizona, not necessarily for something geek related, but for something more pro wrestling involved. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, that pretty much like final thoughts on Crunchyroll hosting an anime convention. That's great. Congratulations on 1 million active. Should we say active subscribers? Is that the number or the term I'm looking for?
It's 1 million paid
1 million paid,
subscribers.
20 million registered.
I guess you could call them premium subscribers.
Yeah. So at that point, that's amazing. Congratulations to Crunchyroll, and good luck on running your own convention. That
And
should
I
be
am
interesting.
one of those 1 million paid subscribers.
You know, can I just mention something here? I mean, I know we're all talking about Crunchyroll and like how great this is and everything, blah blah blah. Like that's cool. Can we talk about the fact that there's like 1 million freaking people in the U.S. like actively paying for anime? Like,
Yeah.
anime hasn't seen a boom this big since like the 90s.
You know, that actually is a really, really good point, because I know, like, when I was in high school, that, you know, like, the group of friends that Alex and I hung out with, we were kind of like looked down upon, because it's like, oh, you guys like cartoons? Oh, you like kid stuff?
Right.
You know, like,
No,
you know,
they like
that-
anime. I like cartoons.
Yeah.
like ultimately in the end, the point I'm trying to make without trying to go into like this big huge long metaphorical tangent is that, you know, those type of kids generally are the ones that get bullied a lot just because they're a little different. So the fact that there's 1 million people who are actively paying to watch anime, as Aldo was saying, that is actually a huge deal. And
I think
and
this
it's
even
just-
eclipses, considering 10 years ago we were in the big DVD bubble that we were for anime. This probably does eclipse that.
Yeah, I mean, like when you take into fact that, like, you know, I came from a time when like you had to like hope that a library maybe had ordered the anime that you wanted in all the volumes, or maybe that weird shop down the corner that maybe had the DVDs used or something.
Yeah.
And the fact that like you can access all that now, and like the fact that people are actively paying for that, they're paying for Daisuke, they're paying for Funimation, they're paying. I feel like I'm missing one, but they're paying for all this stuff. There's Blu-rays coming out, special editions, collector's editions. Like it's the market is there. Like,
yeah, especially with all the more obscure anime that are coming out. Because I remember even back when I was in high school, like it was very much, it's whatever happened to air on Adult Swim and whatever got propagated by word of mouth. So stuff like Full Metal Alchemist. I mean, everybody had seen Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Pokemon, like but then you would get to the obscure stuff like Blue Gender, Yu Yu Hakusho to an extent. And then now you're getting like really obscure. So I mean, the fact that Yuri on Ice is being shown to a lot of people, that would have never happened back then. Like, at all.
I mean, not like a better example, a different example. I mean, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. How impossible was it to watch that way back in the day? And now it's actively being like produced and like, you know, barring all the licensing and you know, translation stuff, it's easier than it has ever been to get JoJo in the States. Like,
we're no longer limited to the crappy OVA series that skips a bunch of stuff.
And this is kind of amazing coming from like a company that used to dedicate itself to like illegally streaming anime. Like that's kind of like the weirdest, like, you know, like underdog story, but like the people, it's like the guy that used to like steal like car pieces now owns like a Ford factory. Like,
Jiro also brings up a good point in the chat, which is basically it's also interesting younger people like more than just mainstream anime. One of the things that I've found interesting is that not only do I get anime recommendations from Alex. Alex is usually my out of the mainstream anime guy. He'll go and recommend something to me, and then I'll say it's too cute, and then he gets mad at me. But now I actually have my niece making recommendations for me for anime to watch. Alex can attest to this. Now I've been recommended Glitter Force, She officially doesn't like my opinion on Sword Art Online, and so I according to my niece, I have to watch Sword Art Online and give it an actual try. What was the other one?
I can give you the cheat sheet. Just watch episodes 1 through 15, and then episode 24.
All right. I'll keep that in mind. And then also, what was the other one that she recommended? It was Fate something.
Oh,
Fate.
Either Fate Zero, Fate Stay Night. That's hard because the Fate franchise is huge.
Yeah, this Fate Stay Night sounds familiar. But yeah, I get recommendations from my elder niece on anime that I should watch, and it's just like, wow. I remember back in the day, in order to watch an anime, you had to hope that there was one at your local Blockbuster and that the person didn't misread the title and you got a hentai by mistake, and then you're in trouble with your parents.
Yeah, and I remember the awkward trips to the library where we would basically scour the DVD stuff to find anything of interest. Oddly enough, that's how I discovered Record of Lodoss War, but it was the case of, oh, this looks interesting, and then... and again, I've mentioned before, my sister is the eldest in the family. She would always screen stuff, so that meant I watched a lot of stuff that skewed. So stuff like Fushigi Yugi, the Sailor Moon stuff that skewed more towards girls than guys.
See, and for me, it was unlucky because that's how me and my best friend got access to Sins of the Sisters. If you know what Sins of the Sisters is, props. I wish I had never seen it. It warped my fragile little mind. So with that being said, we're coming close to the end of the podcast tonight, so we need to wrap things up. Thank you guys so much for watching us tonight. Thank you to the live chat for sticking with us and giving us awesome commentary. You guys are great, and thankfully a lot of our listeners followed through and we're able to see that we're on a new day, a new time. This is going to be a permanent thing. So every Friday at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, that's when Geek News is going on. But if people want to get a hold of the various panelists for their opinions on the stories that we have covered tonight, Romney, how do they do that with you?
Well, you can always find me here on YouTube at youtube.com/StudioGhostUtah. You can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Romney'sReviews. And I'm also on Twitter at RomneyReviews. And as for this week's Romney's recommendation, which was going to be my recommendation last week, well, the mobile game I've been kind of obsessing over would have to be Fire Emblem Heroes.
Yes!
Which,
right.
I mean, as simple as it is, where it is basically like Fire Emblem Light, it's a pretty fun game. Granted, recruiting the heroes can be a bit of a pain if you're trying to do it without paying a bunch of money, but it still has the same basic strategy that a lot of classic Fire Emblem players have come to know and love, plus the kind of characters you can recruit. It's been a pretty enjoyable game, and it's actually nice to play an actual Nintendo property game on my mobile phone that's an actual game and not just, oh, pretend to walk around outside and hoard Pokemon forever.
It's such a good app. I second that recommendation. It's so much fun.
So the next one that we need to go on to here, Alex, before you give your contact information for people to get a hold of you, I wanted to make sure to do this on the podcast, is give you a proper thank you for the way that you handled the previous podcast. A lot of listeners actually reached out to me and were initially worried when he put an episode title of Getting Political is Hard to Do. And then he actually pulled it off in a tasteful manner. So on behalf of those listeners, Alex, thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome. You want
And
me to
so
give my contact now?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So if you, of course, want to find me on social media, in particular, Twitter is always the best place to follow me because that is where I always announce new videos and maybe just tweet random stuff from time to time, especially meme-worthy anime GIFs or GIFs or whatever you want to call the files, but they're fun to tweet out anyway. So follow me on Twitter at AlexJShort is my handle, and of course on YouTube, ShadowBlazer3000 is my channel, where of course I make anime-related content, mostly reviews, maybe some lists, and some game content on the side. I did have a video up, or at least get it ready to go up today, but as I mentioned at the start of the show, it got a worldwide block on it. I had to file a dispute, so I'm waiting to see if the disputes instantly get rejected before making it public. So I don't want to publicize it too much until I'm certain that I'll be in the clear and not get striked immediately.
All right. And Brinton, if you want to be able if people want to get a hold of you for the various stories that you have given your opinions on, or maybe all of the content that you have coming to the channel, how do they get a hold of you?
So you can find me here on YouTube under Brinton Volley. If you all follow the chat, you can see how to spell my name. For those who are listening, my name is spelled BRINTONVALLI. And you can also find me at Twitter at bvalley01. That is where I also put up, wow. I'm having to bring for some reason. It's where I announce all my new videos as well. And I also have fun moments where I do things like live tweet my reactions to Resident Evil 7 as my fiance is playing them. Additionally, I started a brand new Let's Play today. I have started playing Super Mario Galaxy 2, and I'm going to do a complete 100% run of the game minus the green stars. So that went up today. Go over to my channel and check out episode 1.
All right. And also, just as a quick advertisement, because people have been asking, I'm happy to announce that me and Brinton have been getting together for the last couple of weeks, and there is another Gaming with the Geeks coming out from us very soon. And to the people who are asking about me and Aldo, it's coming. We just needed to work out times and crap was happening. So that's going to be happening as well. We're going to finish that. A lot of people have been worried we're not, and that Aldo isn't going to get an interview or anything like that. Guys, it's happening. Don't worry about that too much, but we have plenty of Gaming with the Geeks content coming out. Aldo, if people want to get a hold of you for the various opinions you've shared tonight, how do they do that?
Hold on 1 second. I gotta finish typing this out.
Okay.
Anyways, oh crap. Hold on. I will get there. I promise.
We're doing a live, people. We're doing a live.
There you go. I finished. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, you can find me at boardoffline.com. You can also find me at youtube.com/boardoffline. You can also find me on Twitter at twitter.com. Wait, I don't know what the slash is for that. At Steamboat Taco. You can want to reach out to me, ask me questions, chat. Person that reached out to Adam, you can reach out to me on Twitter, man. It's at Steamboat Taco.
I think the problem that the one in particular had was that we for the longest time were advertising at Board Offline, and now it's at Steamboat Taco. So there you go.
Or you know what? You can just email me, Aldo Gomez at boardoffline.com.
All right.
That's a thing.
And if people want to get a hold of me, there are two really great ways to be able to do it. One is my YouTube channel, which is obviously where you're at right now, youtube.com/Drac2326. And my Twitter actually has the exact same handle, twitter.com/Drac2326. And I get to you guys as soon as I can. Sometimes I miss you guys, and sometimes I'm like a day late when I reply back, but I do get back to you. It's just things are busy at that time. If people want to get a hold of the show directly, there are 4 ways to be able to do it. The first 2 are social networking. You can search for us on Facebook by looking up Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions and liking the page. You'll get up-to-the-minute information when we're going live, the stuff that we'll be talking about, and we're actually going to start interjecting polls to get you guys' opinions on the matter as well. And you can also follow us on Twitter at GeekyNRO for the exact same stuff. If you also want to submit stories to us or submit feedback, you can do so at geekyweek@gmail.com. That's our email address. That's the best way to be able to do that. And finally, if you want to get a hold of the actual RSS feed or to the iTunes page, you can follow us at geekyweek.podomatic.com. And believe it or not, there actually is new stuff on the Podomatic RSS feed, so you guys can check that out. It's some of the older episodes. I'm working to get everything up to speed, and then we will be putting up current episodes while getting rid of some of the older ones. Unfortunately, the hard drive space that Podomatic allows isn't a whole lot. So be used to seeing kind of the Hulu formula of a new one coming up and an old one going away. So that's actually going to go ahead and do it for us this evening. Thank you guys so much for contributing to the podcast, for liking the content, for getting on the chat and getting engaged in the subjects that we're talking about. And thank you so much for also liking and following and subscribing to all of these awesome YouTubers, not just me. I appreciate it. They appreciate it. And of course, for me, for Alex, for Brinton, for Aldo, and for Romney, we'll see you guys next week for even more geek news, reviews, and opinions.